City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. It's approximately 1 p.m. Before we have our Pledge of Allegiance, I'm going to ask if you please rise for a brief moment of silence as we reflect back on the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces as they protect our interests around the globe, as well as the courageous men and women of the Las Cruces Police Department and the Las Cruces Fire Department as they keep our city safe 24/7, as well as for the passing of our New Mexico governor, former Governor Bill Richardson, who passed away over the weekend. Councilor Flores, if you join me in the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so as we always start off our meetings with our pets of the week, I believe Amy DeFelix is online. Amy, are you there? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and postpone our pets of the week and jobs of the week. And I don't believe there are any presentations or proclamations. So now I'll get to the conflict of interest statement. This is where I ask if any member of the city council, city manager, or any member of the city staff has any known conflict of interest on any item on the agenda.
None.
None, Flores.
None, Graham.
None, Abeda.
None, Corin. None, Candela.
Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and turn to public participation. This is where members of the public can speak to council for a total of 7 minutes. 3 minutes here on any item that you wish. We just ask that it not be pertaining to any pending litigation or any item that's on the agenda. If you want to speak to something that's on the agenda, we're going to ask if you could please wait until that item appears. If you have to leave, then please let us know, and that way no one would respond to you. As I mentioned, I'm going to start on my left on the first row. Now, I've been gone for a little bit, and I understand there's quite a few candidates that are running for office, which is good. But if there are any candidates here, I'm going to ask that you're allowed to come, you're allowed to speak, you're allowed to state your name, but please do not mention that you are a candidate for a particular office, okay? Because their ordinance prohibits campaigning in city buildings, including City Hall. All right, so with that, I'll start on my first row to my left. Hold on a second, Kathy. Ma'am, did you have? Okay. And while you're making your way up here, I'm going to be upstairs from about 1:30 to about 2 o'clock. I'll be brief, a half hour. I'm sure I'll be here for one of the items that's towards the end here. So Mayor Pro Tem will be running the meeting after I leave. Okay, if you just state your name, please.
Sure. Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. My name is Kathy Stark, Animal Advocate for Change. Unless you think I only come here to beat you up, I want to extend a kudos to Councilor Graham and Councilor Corin for taking in a mama cat and her newest litter of kittens, getting them spayed, neutered, vaxxed, and finding homes for them. Thank you very much. My primary reason in coming today is that I'd like to respond to the comments that Mr. Peely made at the end of the August 21st meeting about the letter that went to the veterinarians. And you stated that the purpose of the letter was to outreach to them and to find out if any of them would be interested in participating and what their capacity might be. However, if the intent is to determine capacity, none of the questions that were asked in that letter are likely to yield you answers to capacity. And you may have wanted to consider a question like, would you be willing to dedicate full days or partial days, and if so, with what frequency and how many? Secondly, there's already a program to provide free and affordable spay and neuter services, and that's the SNAP program. 8 of our clinics and the ASCMV participate in that program, and we've asked that the city fund that program. Because the county provides funding, eligible residents of the county can access free spay and neuter services. Eligible city residents pay a $75 copay. I met with the SNAP executive director last week and asked her, what's the status, what's the demand? She said the demand for services are up 45% over last year. People are trying to do the right thing. You may not be aware of how many city residents have benefited from this program despite no city funding. From January 1st to January 31st, 682 spay-neuter vouchers were used by city residents, and those residents paid total co-payments of $39,645. By comparison, county residents used 415 vouchers. Of the 1,097 surgeries that SNAP performed during this period, and I think this is important, 1,062 of them were done by veterinarians not under the ASCMV. These were our private veterinarian clinics. They are very involved in spay and neuter. Third point, we've obtained confirmation from 2 of our local veterinarians that they have stated they could dedicate 2 or 3 days a month to spay and neuter, and 1 additional veterinarian not affiliated with a clinic who's willing to participate. In addition, we've been conducting research and outreach to the Veterinary Board, Heart New Mexico, and over 240 veterinarians across the state in the region. And we have 4 additional veterinarians identified who've confirmed an interest in coming to Las Cruces and helping us. We're also reaching out to a mobile clinic licensed in New Mexico that has been here before, that does affordable and free spay and neuter with appropriate funding. And we'll keep you posted on that. And now I'm right to 0. So Jerry Wheelis is going to continue with the 4th point of this, and I thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Kathy. So I've been informed that the timer technically works, the lights work, but the buzzer doesn't. So you want to...
You can buzz for me.
You can occasionally look to your right.
It won't take that long. Jerry Wheelis, Animal Advocates for Change. Good afternoon. I'm finishing up for Kathy. And her 4th point, our 4th point was, and mission critical to high-intensity spay-neuter is for the city and county to realize their job posting for the vacant veterinarian positions are 1, not competitive, 2, the compensation levels fail to recognize our high-kill environment with animal laws that do not demonstrate a commitment to change, which does not make the positions attractive when veterinarians can basically go anywhere in the country. There are currently 10 vacant veterinarian positions in Las Cruces, and El Paso Animal Services reports 30 vacancies in El Paso. The full-time salaries at the El Paso Animal Services is with a median of $165,706. Heart New Mexico, which is in Los Lunas, is posting for a full-time vet at $150,000. By comparison, Las Cruces City job posting is for $70,000 to $105,000 annually, far below what the other cities are offering. While we understand there is a salary study pending, that just serves to further delay the process when the compensation information is already available. Finally, we realize that several of you are not familiar with the proposed ordinance, and there appears to be a widespread misconception about requiring spay-neuter of companion animals. Requiring spay-neuter is one part of population control. The proposed language contains numerous exceptions and alternatives, including a phase-in period with extensive public education and outreach to allow individuals to schedule surgeries. Thank you.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, we're going to have a work session on October 10th, specifically to hear the proposal and hopefully gather consensus and move forward on some items. So, yeah. Ma'am, did you want to say something? No? No? Okay. Okay, so no one else on that front row. How about the next row? No? Okay. 3rd row? Yeah, so just as a friendly reminder, if you're here for item number 7.5, resolution 24028, regarding just basically McClure Road. I'm going to ask that you wait until that particular item on the agenda, and then we'll have that discussion.
Well, this is not about that.
Okay, okay, good.
My name is Carolyn Truxell. I am here to oppose...
Can you speak into the mic, please?
Sure. I'm here to oppose the proposed construction of apartments at 2795 Roadrunner. It's very bad for traffic and pedestrians already. I
Okay.
can't imagine.
Ma'am, I'm being told that that's part of...
Oh, that's part of the McClure?
Yes, ma'am. Uh-huh.
Oh, excellent. It's part of the agenda.
Huh?
This afternoon.
2695 Roadrunner Lane or Roadrunner Parkway?
Parkway.
Okay, then you're okay.
So, yeah, we're just...
Okay, you want to come back to the podium?
The neighborhood is highly opposed to it. It's very difficult to get in and out onto Roadrunner Parkway from our neighborhood anyway, and adding apartments there is just going to be horrible.
Oh, you said construction. I thought you said no, destruction.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Okay, my name is Daniel Bishop. I live in that neighborhood and own a property there. At 2795 Roadrunner Parkway, they plan on making a multifamily apartments unit in basically what would be a neighborhood of single-family homes. And that would increase the congestion from automobiles and pedestrian traffic, and it would also increase the potentiality for more crime in those local neighborhoods, which we've already experienced some. And we have had various vagrants walking through the area and even down in the arroyos from time to time. So I'm opposed to any further multifamily units being developed there simply because of safety issues, and it's just going to get worse. Thank you.
My name is Joyce Bishop, and I'm here to oppose the building of the construction of apartment house on 2795 Roadrunner Parkway. There's been a lot of accidents already at that corner. It involves children, it involves people in their cars, and we're going to have a lot of school children going back and forth for school, and it's not safe there already. So I just see a disaster happening here, and I would like to just oppose that and have it on record. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Patricia Keever. I live in the same neighborhood. We are all opposed to this in the neighborhood. Some of us couldn't be here today, but there are more of us who are concerned. Camino Real School is across the street from where these apartments would be, and there's a lot of traffic there every day from the school, and it would be difficult for those children crossing schools, particularly for their parents who are dropping them off, because they stop in the street right now to drop them off, and it creates a traffic hazard already. So with the additional traffic, it'll really be a problem. We are concerned and we oppose. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ana Rodriguez. I'm also from the same neighborhood, and I oppose to the construction of the apartment buildings at 2795 Roadrunner Parkway for the same causes that my neighbors already said. My main concern is the safety, and mainly the safety of the kids. The school, as Pat already said, is 1 block away from this corner, and nowadays it's already very dangerous to cross anyway, walking or driving. It's a dangerous intersection. Adding apartment buildings there would be a safety concern. Thank you.
Okay, I guess I'm just a little puzzled. So we're not talking about the new apartments that are being constructed right now on Roadrunner Parkway, right? Okay, because, okay, yeah, let me, yeah, I can't really take comment from the, so if someone wants to come forward and answer some questions, I'll ask them. And if you can try to please help me understand exactly, so there's new apartments that are being built, let's see here, I guess it'd be north of Veterans Park, okay?
Yes.
Those are being constructed. Oh, can you bring the microphone down, please?
Yes.
Okay, so, and then there's the Children, Youth, and Families building, and then there's another lot, and then there's a fire department, fire station.
Yeah, you keep going, and then there is Morningstar, and there is the other lot. It's just, there is a church there, and then there is the school there.
Right there at that heart,
Okay,
with the church intersection
I need you to
and-
state your name, please.
Pardon?
Can you state your name again, please?
Oh, Daniel Bishop. My ears aren't as good as they used to be. So if I don't understand.
And has this been, I guess what's brought this forward? I'm not aware of any.
Okay, what is it?
Okay, we received some of the neighbors, and I was one of them. I received a letter on the mail saying that they are planning to construct there. The letter is very, I mean, it doesn't have the name of the owner, just said owner and a P.O. box on Deming. And I can read the letter for you, or I can, and it says just, dear neighbor, and it's dated August 24, and that's how we know that they are trying to build something there.
Okay, let me do this. Let me get with Community Development, find out what it's about. I'll communicate it with Councilor Flores, your representative, and we'll see what it's pertaining to. But I will tell you this, depending on where it's at, that land has been zoned many years ago. So I don't know which one it is. That's why I'm trying to figure out where exactly. So let me find out a little bit more, and then we'll look into it a little bit more. And so if one of you can leave your contact information, or maybe you already know how to get a hold of Councilor Flores, just so that we can communicate it back to the residents, okay?
How would we get you our contact information?
If you want to leave information with the clerk, that'd be fine.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Or I can give you my card, and you can
Okay.
email me.
Do I go up there and?
Yes, sir, you
tell-
can.
Okay.
Okay, is there anybody else on that row? Okay, how about the fourth row? Fifth row? Sixth row?
Mayor, Councilor, the Daily Wire reported on 1 September, and I quote, "State senators call on NMSU to prevent more emotional damage to the students after being triggered by Matt Walsh." The letter dated 11 August, bringing the full weight from Senator Hamlin, co-signed by Councilors Bencomo, Coran, Graham, Gandara, Senator Souls, Commissioner Reynolds, and Shalho, and of course, Representative Rubio, was sent to the NMSU Board of Regents. The focus, in my opinion, is to attempt to silence the young students who brought in the speaker or using the, quote, Human Rights Act to protect a specific group. The question is, where are the human rights or the right to public safety for over 100 plus small businesses that are part of the Las Cruces Hall of Shame and individual citizens, like the lady brutally attacked on Valley? The signers of this letter quickly jumped to engage with an MSU to squelch further speakers they don't approve of, which is okay. The signers want to know, quote, what can be done to protect the students from emotional and psychological damage. My question is, why aren't the same signees, who in my opinion are weak on crime, asking fellow state officials or the governor for an emergency session to protect citizens from becoming victims, not only in Las Cruces, but the war zone, better known as Albuquerque? Doesn't Nancy from Nutrition Center with countless break-ins of over $10,000, this is in District 1, or Leslie from Dermaesthetics, also in District 1, and hundreds of others deserve the type of support and focus the students at NMSU received? So what's the difference? My opinion, perhaps the affected students are part of a bigger voting bloc. that many Hispanic small businesses don't belong to. Or maybe they have parents and supporters with larger checkbooks and deeper pockets. I don't know. Why don't the 100 small businesses, actually it's 100 plus, get as much attention by the same elected officials other than opportune photo ops during election season? So the optics are terrible. And the question still remains, ¿cuánto más and why do we pick and choose the areas that we choose to focus on? And by we, I'm talking about elected officials. And it would really be interesting to know what is driving that and what's the difference between these 100 plus folks that have been victimized and the students at NMSU. Thank you.
Anybody else on row 6? Yes, sir, please make your way down, state your name.
Good afternoon, councilors, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Steve Coletti, Las Cruces resident of 13 years and plant manager for the filling plant for Lindy Gas and Equipment on Telshore in District 3. You may not recognize the name Lindy or wonder what we do. Our number one product is medical oxygen. The respirators you heard so much about and during the pandemic are useless without oxygen to hook to them. That's what we do. We supply all of the ambulance services, and at one point or another during the crisis, all of the hospitals in the counties of Grant, Luna, Sierra, Otero, Doña Ana, and El Paso. We have for the last few years literally been keeping our community alive. One of my responsibilities as plant manager is the security of my plant, and that's why I'm here today. Over the last 4 years, my facility has been broken into 5 times. The same time most of you have been in office, and according to your police department, the time frame in which property crimes have doubled. All of these break-ins were property crimes, cutting my back fence and stealing metals that could be scrapped. Last January, LCPD caught and arrested 3 of these thieves in the act. Here's where my frustration comes in. These individuals, all 3 vagrants, were released the next morning on their own recognizance with no consequences, or even bond to incentivize them not to go out and commit more crimes, including my own facility 3 weeks later. One of the officers responding the same time as the first, and although he was extremely professional, was obviously as frustrated as I was. You spend a lot of time deflecting responsibility off of yourselves and pointing fingers at others, saying there's nothing you can do. It's time you took responsibility. First, you can enact and enforce anti-panhandling and anti-vagrancy laws. Send a message that in order to be part of our community, there are standards which must be met. These issues all fall under your jurisdiction in municipal court. Secondly, for matters out of your control, work with the DA. You're quick to blame him, but interestingly enough, we met with him about a month ago, and he informed us not a single one of you has ever met with him. How can you blame him without even having a conversation with him to coordinate efforts? You run the police department. Lastly, as I'm sure you're aware of this, but for the benefit of those in the audience that may have slept through high school physics, America is not a democracy. We are a republic. As such, we represent elected officials to do the business of governing. You are those officials and those representatives. If your hands are being tied by statutes coming out of the county or out of Santa Fe, you should be fighting them to get those statutes changed. Please do what you are here to do and give the hardworking, law-abiding citizens of Las Cruces a safe place to work and live that they deserve. Thank you very much.
Anybody else on row 6? Row 7? Row 8? Row 7, then make your way down, ma'am.
Good afternoon, honorable councilors and Mr. Mayor, wherever he disappeared to. My name is Lori English. I live in Doña Ana County, and I live in the city of Las Cruces. I am, first of all, I'm fully aware, councilors, of the fact that on June 7th, you made a decision to erect a memorial for a young lady in Veterans Park. I honor that decision, although I don't think it belongs where it's going to be, but That's already a done deal. But my complaint is, first of all, how the veterans were handled on June 7th and treated by the city council. The only reason I even said anything about Mr. Mayor last city council meeting was because I know he voted with you to erect the monument, even though after he said he was against it because he thought you were setting a dangerous precedent. My first problem is, where does the city councilor get off contacting a private individual who might or might not know me to get my personal information on my email, my address, or my phone number? Second of all, I think the council acted very, very badly in their decision to do this, and I would like to read, if I may, hopefully time allows it and I can find it, an excerpt from what the city council regulations are. And it simply says, public hearing input, it's section 2.10.051. The applicant or appellants shall have the right to speak first. The chair will determine the length of time allowed for the presentation. Speakers representing other or pro-con points of view will be allowed to follow. The chair will determine how much time that goes on the time. But item number 2, council members will not express their opinions during the public hearing portion of the meeting except to ask pertinent questions or speaker or staff. I think and I feel comments by the council members are not appropriate until after the close of the public hearing. Council members should refrain from arguing or debating with the public during public hearing and input, and shall show respect for different points of input. For number 1, you didn't respect our different point of input. Number 2, we were constantly interrupted by counselors. And number 3, a certain counselor actually got in an argument with the chair of the Veterans Advisory Council. I'm asking that this council meeting be reviewed and reposted and re-added on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on row 7? Row 8? No? Okay, am I right? Row 1? Row 2? Row 3? 4? Yes, please make your way down, Mr. Goodman.
For the record, I'm Peter Goodman. I sympathize thoroughly with what Mr. Paletti was saying, but I think he's headed in the wrong direction as far as relief. Some of the things he was suggesting that you enact would have constitutional defects so that they would just immerse the city in litigation that it would spend money on and lose. I agree that it's a problem that needs to be addressed and with more imagination than it has. But the answer is not the district attorney's office. The district attorney's office, in the words of a visiting judge from a year or so ago, and the situation has not improved, it is a dumpster fire. It is perhaps the worst public organization, in southern New Mexico. It's unfortunate, whatever party you belong to, but it's understaffed and it can't do the things it's supposed to do, and that's why we're seeing a lot of dismissals of various cases there, because they can't get around to getting the paperwork that they need to judges. So I fear that they are not the answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman.
Good afternoon. I'm Jennifer Cry, and thank you for allowing me to speak here, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. I'm here to apologize. I did not know you were having a work session about police transparency and use of force issues last week. It went by me and I didn't know, because I'm very interested and concerned, and I love the technology. I was able to hear Chief Story's presentation. Thankfully, Reverend Wilkins and Peter Goodman were here to comment. I just want you to know I wasn't here because I missed it. I just missed the fact that it was going to happen. It's definitely something I'm interested in. I thought the presentations were good. The comments were good. So I appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cry. Row 6. Row 7.
City Councilors, Mayor Pro Tem Gandara. My name is Sarah Smith. Recently, Mayor Pro Tem Gandara, Councilors Bencomo, Graham, and Coran signed a letter urging the interim president of New Mexico State University to limit free speech on campus. This was in response to Matt Walsh speaking at NMSU a couple months ago. I understand that Matt's stance is controversial. To be clear, I am not anti-gay or anti-trans. However, information about the potential harms of gender transition is important, and people need to have access to this information, even if it sometimes comes from a controversial source. The statewide organization that I helped to lead, the New Mexico Freedoms Alliance, recently hosted a discussion with Laura Becker in Albuquerque. Laura underwent gender-affirming care in the form of testosterone and breast removal before realizing it was all a huge mistake and that she was a woman, not a man. Laura's past trauma and abuse had led her to suffer from a variety of mental health problems, and these were not improved by gender affirmation. Her trans health care actually worsened her suicidal tendencies, and she cannot reverse what has been done to her. Even though she has detransitioned now, she continues to grow facial hair, her voice is permanently deepened, and she will never be able to breastfeed her potential children. She is just one among thousands of detransitioners, and these harms matter. Whether you agree with Matt Walsh's message or not is irrelevant. Opposing viewpoints are important. They allow us to weigh both sides of an issue, and the right to do this is essential to a free society. Universities of all places should welcome the airing of opposing viewpoints and earnest discussion. The right to free speech is one of our most important rights, as protected by the United States Constitution and our state constitution. This right allows us all to hear and to be heard, regardless of who is in power at the time. Please uphold our rights to free speech as our elected representatives.
Thank you. Row 8. Anybody, row 8?
Afternoon. My name is Dan Parrott. Glad to meet you folks, the Pro Tem and Alderman. I'd like to speak on the past ordinance that was just passed, seeking to protect the individuals requesting assistance on public streets and the medians. I think this is a really good start for the public safety, and it gives a tool to the police department to enforce safety issues on our public roadways here in Las Cruces. There is an additional thing that I'd like to point out on Roadrunner Parkway that is of equal importance for our children at 2 of the elementary schools. It is Camino Real near Morning Star Church and Desert Hills on the other end of Roadrunner. Until just recently, Desert Hills had a severe problem with parents dropping off and picking up children. My main concern, since I travel that roadway quite a few times in a day, is one of the children running out into traffic and being seriously injured or possibly killed. I would like to request that the council direct the road department or safety department to look at these areas and possibly put up no stopping or discharging or picking up of children. And then there's an additional spot on Loman at C Senor Restaurant coming eastbound where people turn in to pick up their orders that impedes traffic flow several times a day, cutting that roadway from a 3-lane roadway to 2 lanes. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Anybody else on this side? No? Oh, yes?
I see you started me on the timer already. I carefully timed my statement for 3 minutes. I'm William Bierman. I noticed over the years that Las Cruces city government normally did not include the salaries when it announced in news releases the appointment of city officials. So I did find it interesting that when you reappointed the city manager last month, the city news release pointed out that his salary was not changed. This raised the question, why was the manager not given a raise? Is it because our city manager already makes more than the governor of New Mexico and more than the average of $149,000 for all the governors in the United States? According to the Sun News, the current manager was hired with a contract that pays a base salary of $216,000 per year before benefits, a 19% jump in what the last permanent city manager was paid. The city had budgeted $169,000 for the city manager position, including benefits, but in the hiring contract, it brought the total up to $279,000, which included the $216,000 salary and other benefits such as $500 a month vehicle allowance, health, dental, vision, and life insurance, and a retirement plan and relocation assistance of up to $15,000. And my intent is not to single out the city manager, but his case provides such an excellent example of the city council's cavalier largesse in the way it spends other people's money. The city government is wallowing in millions of dollars from annual increases in revenues and influxes in federal tax money. Rather than cut the taxes and utility rates you impose on ordinary citizens, you want to spend money on controversial new ideas, such as making the multi-million-dollar city bus service free, paying guaranteed basic income to selected individuals, and paying compensation to victims of crime, which ironically you caused by defunding the police in the years before and after 2020. You even have opposed a new rider on our gas bills as part of a misguided crusade against natural gas. The citizens did not elect you to go on a spending spree for your ideological causes. I'm sure many of us, besides myself, are upset at what you are doing.
Anybody on this side? Okay, that concludes our public participation. Next, I need a motion to accept the agenda.
Move to approve, Abeta. Second.
Motion made by Councilor Abeta, second by, was that Councilor Bencomo? Thank you. Next, 7.1, resolution number 20.
Mayor Pro Tem, I need to call the roll.
I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself, Christine.
You're fine. This is on the motion to accept the agenda as presented. Councilor Abeta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yep.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And the mayor's absent.
Thanks, Christine. Okay, next up, 7.1, resolution number 24-024.
Move to approve, Graham.
Motion made by Councilor Graham, second by Councilor Abeta. Hello, please come on up. Lisa?
Yes.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, councilors, and city staff. Lisa Padron, buyer for the purchasing section of finance. Before you is a resolution to authorize a contract for janitorial supplies. Procurement number 23-24-022 for janitorial supplies is a piggyback contract between Educational Service Center Region 19, Allied States Cooperative Contract, and Spectrum Paper Company. The contract is valid through January 31st, 2024, with 2 additional annual extension options. Facilities management, custodial staff, along with other departments, purchase janitorial supplies for use in city-owned facilities. Award of the contract will allow for in-house custodial staff and other departments to ensure proper sanitation and cleaning of city-owned facilities in a cost-effective, efficient, and timely manner. And with that, here are your standard council options, and I stand for questions.
Thank you, Lisa. Any questions? Seeing none on the dais, any public comment? Seeing none, Christine, please take the roll.
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 24-024. Councilor Abeyta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And the mayor is absent.
Okay, next up, 7.2, resolution number 24-025. Rocio?
Move to approve, Graham. Second.
Motion made by Councilor Abeyta, second by Councilor Bencomo. I'm sorry, Councilor Graham. Oh, Graham, Bencomo. There you go.
Hello, good afternoon. Rocio Gamboa, Budget Analyst 2. Today I'm here to present you various budget adjustments. These budget adjustments are no new programs, policy initiatives. These adjustments are focused on compliance and alignment, the routine budgetary business with best practices, and the data presented is summarized, so please refer to your packet for detailed information. Our first budget adjustments in the general fund are for the city manager's office, an increase in expense for $163,500 for the carryover for the construction of a new office for the communications program. The next department is an increase for the police department, and this is for $67,000. This is for carryovers, PO carryovers for law enforcement CAD interface, Trax equipment, PAL gym flooring, and PAL equipment. With the in the fire department, we have an increase in expenses of $282,496, and this is also for PO carryovers for radios, power cop batteries, bunker gear, and academy licenses. In the Parks and Recs department, we have an increase of $526,888, and this is for an asset replacement for a 2017 electric jam utility vehicle that stopped working in June of 23. Also for adjustments to various grant projections to actuals. They're carrying over POs for various park furniture, land use assumption study, and aquatic parts and installation for pool UV system. The quality of life department has an increase in expenses of $54,251, and this is a carryover for the insurance recovery funds for the Earth and Cosmos art repair. We have a transfer of $135,013, and this is a transfer to the vehicle acquisition fund. We'll see the other side on our next slide. Here we have the other side of that transfer, and this is for the transfer to the vehicle acquisition fund. Because we have, we're carrying over for the police department $140,000 for VAF carryovers, and for Parks and Recs department we have an increase of carryovers of $12,529. We have another transfer from the Hold Harmless Fund to the SSGRT fund for debt service payments. And we'll also see the other side on our next slide. We have a budget adjustment in the fire fund, in the fire department, an increase in revenue and expenses, and revenue increase of $607,000, and an increase of $603,000, and this is for the state fire marshal funds that they receive from the state fire marshal, and that's a carryover from 23. The police protection fund has a adjustment in the police department, and this is an increase in expenses of $11,000. This is a carryover for a 22 Maverick docking station and DEF 40 millimeter smokeless powder single launcher. In 2023 SSGRT fund, we have a transfer of 1.9 million, and that is from the hold harmless fund for the hold harmless fund for the debt service payment. In the 23 SSGRT fund, we have an increase in expenses in the Public Works Department of 8.9 million, and this is for the principal and interest for debt service payments. We have a budget adjustment in the 2019 gold bonds for the finance department of 2.8 million, and this is to increase the budget for FY24 for bond principal payments. The VAD Streets Projects Fund has a decrease in the Public Works Department of 1.4 million, and this is to adjust projections for the VAD Phase 1 and 2 based on needs. We have another adjustment in the Gold Bond Project 2019 fund for the Public Works, a decrease of 3.6 million, and this is to adjust several bonds that are closing. Those bonds are Animal Shelter, Fire Station 3 replacement, park improvements, and trail improvements. Our next adjustments are in the Utilities Department and the Utilities Shared Service Fund for an increase of $289,000, and this is to increase expenses for FY24 budget. The Gas Contingency Fund, also in utilities, an increase of $100,000 to increase their FY24 budget. The Water Operations Fund in the Utilities Department has an increase in expenses of $1.5 million, and this is to increase expenses also for the FY24 budget. Wastewater Operations, also in utilities, has an increase of $700,000. These are increases to their expenses in the FY24 budget. In the Fleet Services Fund, we have an increase in expenses of $15,000, and this is a carryover vehicle purchase. And I will turn it over to Cynthia Campo to go over the CIP program adjustments.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and councilors. Cynthia Campo, CIP analyst. Today we have quite a few CIP amendments. We have three different types. We have budget to actual amendments. We are removing some projects, and we also have CIP amendments due to the transfer appropriations between projects and newly funded project that was of a grant received in July. There are 47 budget to actual amendments, and most of these actually correspond to the budget adjustments that Rocio just presented. And of these, we have the general facilities improvements, which corresponds to the communications office project. And then we have LRU runway 826 extension, and this is the grant, which we are also adjusting the budget to match the last year's actuals. We have a couple for Community of Hope, and we have various park projects that have CIP amendments, including A Fielder Memorial Safe Haven renovations, Apodaca Park Aquatic Playground, the soccer field, Chandler Tank Park, Doña Ana Move Trail, Gallagher Park improvements, Highland Park, Las Cruces Lateral RTP Trail, New Skate Park Plan and Design, parks, smart controllers and pumps, Pioneer Women's Park gazebo and improvements, the community pool construction, skate park renovation and improvements, Tortugas Trail, wayfinding signage, median landscaping, neighborhood parks, parks shade structures, parks parking lots, Veterans Park, various park restrooms replacements. We have a few for fire as well, fire station alerting system, fire department administration building lobby remodel, fire department CIT and MIH building, a police department building renovation. We have Amador Hotel, Campo Street design and reconstruction, Gasalinda Acres reconstruction, Delray Boulevard, East Mesa Roads drainage, the GEO bonds related to ARPA funding, and then the GEO bonds related to the animal shelter, the fire station, the trails, and the parks. Picacho Avenue Hawk System, Telshore Spruce intersection improvements, the VAD district phase 1 and 2, Villamora Dam Park Study, and Walnut Madrid Tap Bike Pedestrian Project, Brannigan Cultural Center improvements, Munson Center renovations, Municipal Services Center transit and solar energy photovoltaic projects. The projects that we are removing include the cinematic infrastructure infrastructure and soundstage, the general facilities improvements, La Casa maintenance, aquatic center solar, the Burn Lake Essengler Community Park improvements, and Butterfield Shooting Range ADA improvements. And the projects that have the CIP amendments include Bellama Drive, which is having funds transferred from the South Main Street project due to increased cost estimates. The Arts and Cultural District improvements, that is the grant that was received in July, and weed control and maintenance program with a CIP budget correction.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have any? Yes, Councillor Flores.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. Can you go back to slide, whatever, 16, I believe? Maybe it was 15. Oh, yes, it was page 15. Item 6, Del Rey Boulevard signal improvements. And the reason for request is budget to actuals. Well, how is that funded? I know that it's all regulated by the rules, set forth by the, I think it's the FTB, anyway, Federal Transportation Board. But, so where does that funding come from?
I will defer to Tony Trevino.
I mean, since it's federal funding, federally based legislation that our local municipality has, we should get money from the feds. So where did the money come from?
Hi, Tony. How are you?
Good afternoon, everybody. IFO, Mayor Pro Tem Gandara, City Council, Tony Trevino for the record. The Del Rey Signal Project is actually an NMDOT state grant. It's part of the capital outlay. No, that's a MAP grant, actually. It is from the NMDOT, so it's state funded for the entire project. It's to reduce some of the signal heads, some of the striping, and that whole intersection of Del Rey, Baton Memorial East and West.
Del Rey and...
Baton Memorial East and
Oh,
West.
yes,
Right
oh,
there
yes,
on
that
frontage
one
roads.
that has
Yes, ma'am. So
weird markings.
So that's all state funded.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Trevino, and thank you, Matt.
Thank you,
Madam
Councilor
Chair.
Flores. Tony, before you go, I don't see anybody. The Hawk system on Picacho, can you say a little bit more about that?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Pro Tem Council, the Hawk system on Picacho and 4th we had to request an extension from the state due to some right-of-way issues, trying to get some areas so we can put the post for that signal. That is moving forward, and hopefully we'll get that in place and going here beginning of the winter, or like January, February of this year. Get that going. So we're just taking care of some right-of-way issues.
Tony, for the public, can you speak to the Hawk system? What is it? What does it do? Why are we doing it there?
So the Hawk system, Mayor Pro Tem, is similar to the ones that are on University Avenue. The ones that are, they're not just flashing lights that are there right now on Picacho. 4th Street is where the school crossing guard stands, where the students go from the 4th Street, 6th Street area south to the school. So at that area, that's also the detour for our geobond shell system. We had some obstructions trying to go across the trail, the railroad and the drainage area there. So we had to do a detour down 4th Street in front of the school and up Hadley. So this allows us to provide additional protection for the bicyclists, pedestrians, school children going north and south.
Thanks. Thank you, Tony.
Yes.
Appreciate that. And then I had a question on slide 12 and 13, not yours, on Apodaca Park and the restrooms at various park updates, renovation. Anybody here that can answer that?
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem. Kathy Matthews with Parks and Recreation. You had a question regarding Apodaca Park?
Slide 12 and 13. Kathy, you want to change it over? No?
Sorry, that would be me. Thank you, Cynthia.
I'm
Mayor-
thinking maybe at 11.
Oh.
Yeah.
There we go.
There it is. 4, second to the last.
So, Mayor Pro Tem, the Apodaca Park Aquatic Playground project is continuing at this moment. It has
Good.
funding from the Land and Water Conservation Fund, the Outdoor Recreation Public Purposes Lease grant. I messed that up. It's the ORLPP grant through the Land and Water Conservation Fund. It comes to us through the New Mexico State Parks Division and directly from the National Park Service. So we have a grant from them, and we have internal matching funds as well as state legislative grant funds matching that as well.
Now, is that just for the aquatic portion of the playground?
Mayor-
Or is it going to extend, I'm sorry, Kathy, for interrupting, to extend also in the playground, maybe a covering and stuff? I've been waiting for this. We all have since before COVID, right? So I'm really excited that this is on the list, and I wanted to ask, because I've been talking to Mr. Peely about it. I know there was some concerns about, well, with COVID and supply issues and the numerous, how expensive things have been, we didn't have enough to finish sort of the project, so we were waiting.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, those are excellent concerns. That we applied for the grant in 2018 and received notification that we received it in 2018, but we did not actually receive the grant until earlier in 2023. So the funding is now in place with the grant, and so we are beginning the process. The anticipated scope includes demolition of the existing swimming pool, design and construction of a splash pad aquatic playground in its place, and the design and construction of a multi-purpose trail in the park. That's part of what was outlined and conceived of in the Apodaca blueprint, and so the project intends to accomplish all those things. At this point in time, of course, during COVID, before we actually received the grant, our costs escalated significantly, and so there is concern that the available budget currently is not sufficient to complete the entire scope. We have yet to begin design. As we continue through design, we'll realize any kinds of cost savings or value engineering that we can, but the intention is to accomplish the entire scope to the extent the budget allows. And that includes demolition, construction of aquatic playground, and a multi-use path. These may appear in For instance, the multi-use path maybe won't be a paved path, but the scope includes a path, and the intention is to include a path, for instance.
This is really exciting, Kathy, particularly in the area. Now, will we see, which is sort of asking the next question around the restrooms at various parks, will that include an update or renovation of that particular restroom for Apodaca Park?
Madam Pro Tem, the portion of the Apodaca Park project includes a aquatic playground splash pad. New Mexico Environment Department requires a restroom to be built in construction with that kind of facility, so there will be a restroom as part of that portion of the project. It won't be a renovation of the existing restroom.
Okay.
It'll be
an additional.
There exists a swimming pool and a pool house.
Yeah.
Both of those structures will be demolished.
They are.
In their place, the intention is to build the splash pad with the required restroom.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm really excited. And everybody around there, plus I live around that area, is really excited about it, waiting, and I get a number of emails related to when we're going to start doing that. And then I'll say, lastly, there's a inoperable fountain there. What are we doing to get that up and running again? And I'm wondering if, I know there's some issues there with connection and whatnot. Can you give us an idea of what that might look like, a time frame to get something connected, and if not, some sort of portable drinking station for folks that are frequenting the park?
Madam Pro Tem, yes, the drinking fountain has a insufficient connection or not exactly legal connection from years back when it was installed, and so that drinking fountain cannot be in service. So our park staff is working on a solution with our facilities management staff, since they manage the maintenance, et cetera, of our drinking fountains. I don't have a time frame at this point in time, but I can get that for you.
Yeah, that would be really helpful. I just feel like because people frequent it and they expect a water fountain to be working, I'm wondering if we can put something temporary. It's still warm out there for kids to be out without a water fountain. So I'm thinking a temporary fountain. You see those in events and such, and hoping that we could really explore that, IFO. Thank you.
We definitely will. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think Councilor Beta, and then I'll turn it over to Mayor.
Thank you. I also have a question on slide 13 with regards of the ball fields and soccer renovations, on what those renovations are going to be, in particular with the soccer fields. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have.
I will defer to Kathy.
Should have grabbed you before you left.
Apologies. Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. Councilor Beta, did you have specific questions regarding that project, the soccer field renovations?
Yes, on just what those improvement renovations were going to be.
Yeah. Madam Pro Tem, Councilor Beta, prior to receiving the funding from the state legislative grant, we sought the input of the soccer community who uses those fields and determined a prioritized list of improvements to be made. So among those improvements will be demolition of the press box that's on field 1, I believe. The structure is not used at this point in time, and so the funding will be used to make that area safe and remove that press box. Also, drinking fountains, new drinking fountains throughout the remainder of the soccer fields that are under lease to the city. Fencing improvements with increased numbers of gates so that there's better access to the fields rather than in just a single location. Also included will be renovations to the restrooms and the concession area, that building that's on Bruins Lane.
Okay, and with regards of the legislative funding for that specifically, I know that there was a little over 900,000, I believe, and that was designated for soccer in particular. when we talk about these types of fundings, is there something separate for the baseball fields then, or are we utilizing the soccer funds as well for the baseball fields?
Madam Pro Tem, Councilor Beta, this source of funding, this grant is being used at the High Noon soccer fields only, not baseball fields at this point.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else?
I'm sorry, the signage, there's some wayfinding signage, I thought, for the area Arts and Cultural District, yes?
Madam
We've
Pro
been waiting
Tem.
a long time for it too, yeah. Can you give me an update, Kathy?
Madam Pro Tem, absolutely. This particular item is park and trail wayfinding signage. It was a grant through the New Mexico Department of Transportation, and it allowed us to contract with a consultant to develop a plan for park and trail wayfinding. So that report exists. This item is a carryover of the small amount of remaining funds so that we can have that document printed and bound available for our partners and ourselves to use and refer to as we move forward actually installing park and trail wayfinding.
Thanks, Kathy. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, Rocio, is there more to your presentation? That's it? Okay, any other further questions? Okay, if not, Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 24-025. Counselor Abeyta?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Gondara?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Okay, next item, 7.3, Resolution 24-026.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Beta, second by Councilor Bencomo.
Is the
You're
next
gonna
one
do
the
this?
grants?
So we have Jacqueline Rubacalva.
Okay, I'm going to present for
Are
Jacqueline.
you going to present?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we have Rocio Gamboa, budget analyst two. We have another resolution with budget adjustments for various departments. This budget adjustment is for para due to contract negotiations. This adjustment will not deplete the city's 2/12 reserve requirement. The first adjustment is in the IT department for 2,537. And also, the next one is in the city manager's program of 16,382. Parks and Recs has an adjustment for para of 33,215. Public Works Department has an adjustment in para of 13,979. In the special revenue funds, in the special revenue reimbursements grant for quality of life, we have a budget adjustment of 9,413. Flood Control Operations Fund, we have a budget adjustment of 5,917. For the Gas Tax Fund, we have an adjustment for Public Works of 2,783. In our enterprise funds, we have an adjustment for Airport of 635. In the Shared Services Fund, we have an adjustment of 18,083. In the Natural Gas Operations Fund, we have an adjustment in the Utilities Department of 16,498. The Water Operations Fund has an adjustment to para the Utilities Department of 20,609. Wastewater Operations in the Utilities Department, an adjustment of 20,770. The Solid Waste Operations Fund in Utilities Department, an adjustment of 21,466. And the Transit Operating Fund is in this transit program of 37,965. The last para adjustment is in the Fleet Service Fund, and this is for fleet, and that is an increase of 11,552. Here are your council options. I'll stand for questions.
Okay, thanks, Rocio. Any questions? Members of the public? Seeing none? Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 24-026. Counselor Abeta?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Gondeta?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, next item, 7.4, Resolution 24-027.
Move to approve.
Second, Corin.
Motion made by Counselor Abeta, second by Counselor Corian, and Charlie Fierro will be presenting. How you doing there, Charlie?
Doing well, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, City Council, City Management, and staff. My name is Charlie Fierro, Budget Analyst with Fiscal Management, City of Las Cruces. Today I present before you all a resolution to establish the FY24 budget for various awards received by our city. My first grant has the title of Visit Las Cruces Cooperative and Advertising Program. This is under Department SCMO, City Manager's Office, and Councilor Flores, you'll like this. The grantor in this case is the State of New Mexico Tourism Department. This rolls up under Fund 2100. Now this grant does have a match under Fund 2710. The grant amount is for $95,936. And the match amount in this case is for $47,968. Now the purpose of this project is to coordinate with the State of New Mexico Tourism Department to provide a statewide perspective through advertising and media-related services, with the purpose of stimulating touristic activities here in our city. Our second grant today is Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant. We call it JAG. This is under the Las Cruces Police Department. The grantor in this case is also the State of New Mexico Department of Public Safety. This rolls up under Fund 2100. The grant amount in this case is $44,866. There's no match for this project, and the purpose of this is to purchase push bumpers and PIT bars, as well as providing the associated training for staff for our police when using these newly purchased equipment. The next project I have is titled Non-Metro Area Agency on Aging, or NMAAA, Title III. This is under Quality of Life. The grantor in this case is North Central New Mexico Economic Development District. This is under Fund 2100. The grant amount in this case is $896,320. Again, there is no match for this project. And the purpose of this grant, of these monies, is to provide monies for senior program services to promote the development of a comprehensive and coordinated delivery system to meet the needs of older individuals here in our great city. The next project I have is also with NMAAA. This is a nutrition service incentive program, also with Quality of Life. The grantor here again is the North Central New Mexico Economic Development District. This rolls up under Fund 2100. The grant amount is for $219,683. There is no match on this project. And the purpose of this project is to allocate funds in support of the provision of congregate and home delivered meals provided under the Title III of the Older Americans Act. The next grant I have is titled New Mexico Grown Produce Program Grant. This is also with Quality of Life. The grantor in this case is the New Mexico Aging and Long-Term Services Department. Under Fund 2100, the grant amount is $126,613. And once again, no match. And the purpose of this is to support our is to allocate funds in the support of providing fresh New Mexico grown produce and products to individuals receiving services from senior programs in the congregate and home delivered programs. That takes me to your council options, and I'll stand for any questions.
All right, thanks, Charlie. Councilor Flores?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's nice to see you again. V. Gates?
No,
V.
thank you.
Gates?
It's nice to be seen.
Alles is good, yeah?
Yeah, it was great. Great
Okay,
time.
good.
Kind of humid over there, but
Yeah,
a lot
I'm
of good
sorry I
food.
wasn't there either. Thank you so much for your presentation. Page 4, please, at the To provide funds for senior programs, isn't that what we do now anyway? So is it an expansion of what we're doing now?
Councilor Flores,
Or is-
I'll go ahead and defer to quality of life for this one.
Oh, Carol.
She can further elaborate on your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Councilor Flores. Thank you for that question. This is not an increase over our current program. It is the grant that we receive every year. The city does contribute close to $700,000 a year also to this program, and the remaining more than $2 million that we dedicate to this program comes from some contributions from participants who pay a small amount for their meals. So I would say roughly 2/3 of this entire program comes from this grant every year.
Thank you, Ms. Bray. The reason I was asking is because the match is NA. There's no match.
Yes, Mayor, Councilor Flores, Carol Bray for the record. Sorry, I forgot that earlier. It does say no match, but we do contribute in order to be able to. There are funds from the general fund for this program so that we can meet the need and demand in our community.
So it's a no, there's no match probably because the grantor didn't require it.
Correct, yes. Mayor, Councilor Flores, there is no match required, but we do
Yes.
contribute.
Yes. Thank you so
Okay,
much, Ms.
thank you.
Bray. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Next,
Okay.
any,
Yes, I'm done. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Flores.
any other questions? Members of the public? Okay, seeing none. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 24-027. Counselor Abeyta?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Gondeta?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, next, thanks, Charlie. Next is item 7.5, Resolution 24-028. Need a motion and a second, please.
So move.
Second by Flores.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Gondeta, second by Councilor Flores, and Mr. Adam Ochoa will do the presentation. And before I begin, there may be some of you who emailed council members. I know you emailed me. We're really not allowed to respond to you, so I didn't want you to think we're just ignoring you. We have to show that impartiality, and so I appreciate your understanding in that. So. Okay, go ahead, Adam.
Thank you, Mayor. Adam Ochoa, Community Development, for the record.
Are you ready? Okay. Adam, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
Again, Adam Ochoa, Community Development, for the record. The case we have here is an appeal to the planning and zoning decision of denying a proposed infill development process proposal for a property located at 725 McClure Road. First, I wanted to start just kind of educating you a little bit of what exactly an infill development process proposal is. It's basically where an applicant who owns or is doing a project in what's the core of the city on a piece of property that's either undeveloped, underdeveloped possibly, or underutilized is another word we use as well, where they essentially work with staff, kind of going back and forth as to what potentially can go on that property that wouldn't be allowed to go on that property by right with its existing zoning designation. That being said, the infill development process, the goals for it is to develop kind of active uses compatible with the surrounding area. That's one of the goals. Promote an economic development in the central part of the city, and also increase density in the center of the city, and advocate the envisions of Las Cruces. Some of those kind of back and forth or that staff has with applicants is potential variances when it comes to density, for instance, or setback variances, possible special uses that could go on that property, additional uses that wouldn't be allowed by right on the property, like I said before. For instance, this is the property we're talking about today is zone R1A. By right, you're only allowed to have a single family home, and those items associated with a single family. Just other things as well as subdividing could be part of this process, building permits, sign permits, et cetera, when we're looking at an infill. Essentially what happens is staff goes back and forth with the applicant, then they do take this to the Planning and Zoning Commission, who have final decision on these infill development proposals, of course, unless it's appealed to City Council by either the applicant or affected people. Really, what we're looking for when P&Z and when staff is looking at an infill development proposals, we make sure we foster the goals, policies, and really the objectives of what is Elevate Las Cruces. But additionally, on top of that, we also want to advance, the purpose of our zoning code, which is essentially to keep up with public safety, health, general welfare, and just an orderly development in the infill area. So that being said, we'll go into the actual details of what is being proposed. Currently, the property, like I stated before, is Zone R1A, single family, medium density. It is roughly about 1.112 acres in size, and it is currently undeveloped or vacant. It is located in what is called the suburban place type in Elevate Las Cruces. It is also what is considered Lot 1 of the October Sky subdivision. Subdivision kind of subdivided an existing tract, which created this lot, and an additional tract that was created for a city project, and it was sold to the city for a potential city project. And I'm muted, no, there we go. Subject property is underneath here. You can't really see it, unfortunately. Right off of McClure Road, which, as you can see, McClure Road is kind of like the connection between Valley and Alameda, but that is the vacant piece of property right here. And maybe this will show a little bit too as well. As you can see, the vast majority of the zoning in this area is R1A, single-family zoning. Vast majority that's being developed out here are single-family site-built homes, essentially. Some multifamily, some zoning that's open area, that's like parks and so forth like that. But I just wanted to show you kind of how it is right here in this area of the city. When the applicant before staff and before the Planning and Zoning Commission, they did request to allow for a 20 dwelling unit apartment complex on the property. Essentially, it would be 4 buildings with 5 units each, townhome style development, 5 attached townhomes on each building. So those are essentially the variances, if you will, or the special uses that were requested for the infill, through the infill development proposal. The developer did talk to staff, and they were going to meet all of the requiremments for developing this property, all landscaping requirements, all drainage requirements. They will be required to retain all their post-development runoff, parking requirements, setback requirements, and height restrictions. They meet all those requirements with what they were being proposed to staff. Was being proposed to the Planning and Zoning Commission. My apologies. My screen went blank, but I could see. There we go. It comes back. Here is kind of a layout, conceptual layout that the applicant submitted, with the buildings kind of pushed back to the rear, and the access points here off McClure Road with the kind of looping parking. And there is kind of a rendition of what those each building would look like with the 5 townhomes attached to each other. On June 27, 2023, the Planning and Zoning Commission does take this under consideration, and the motion essentially failed or denied by a vote of 2-2. 2 commissioners were for it, 2 were against. We did have 3 commissioners absent that day. The commissioners that supported the proposed infill development, or IDP, their findings were it's supported by the Elevate Las Cruces Comprehensive Plan, and it provides that missing middle piece or middle type of housing in the area. The commissioners against the proposed IDP saw an issue with increase in density will significantly impact the area, that it does not align with kind of the existing look or feel of the area and the land uses found in that area. Additionally, they do believe that the existing infrastructure did not support the proposed density with this proposed IDP. With that, the applicant did go ahead and appeal that decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission on July 12, 2023. Basis of appealing is that if density was an issue with this portion of land, he would have never sold the other portion to the city. On top of that, they state that it isn't the suburban and urban area where proposed densities are encouraged as what is being proposed. It supports Smart Throat with a range of housing in the area now, and it's in an area with various forms of transportation and supporting services. You can walk to bus stops, you can walk to schools potentially, people who live in there, and it's supported by various policies of Elevate Las Cruces. Staff did want to let you on, the council know, wow, I'm sorry, that we did get a wide variety, array, and a lot of public input from the area. People who were supportive of the proposed IDP stated that there was a need for this type of housing in the area, that it aligns with Elevate Las Cruces, and that it will develop a vacant piece of property in the infill area of the town, which is what infill is really pushing for. People against stated that there would be excess traffic and noise other than what's already there. McClure is not to city standards. It is only like a 2-lane road right now, but it is the designated collector roadway. Negative effects on policy, safety, and quality of life. It is out of character for the area. It is impact already in existing flooding issues in the area and potential increase in crime as well. With that, ladies and gentlemen, your options are 1, to vote yes and approve. Let me go through my notes to make sure I give you exactly what it is. I hate to misspeak on this.
Yeah, this is the one where Councilor Graham rightfully says, right.
So that's exactly why I had to bring it up for you, we could clarify. So 1 is to vote yes. This will approve the resolution and reverse the planning and zoning's decision of denial. Okay. 2 to vote no. This will deny the resolution and it will uphold the denial decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission. 3, vote to amend. This could allow City Council to modify the proposed infill development proposal, changing densities, heights, whatever it is, with those conditions, if you will. Or lastly, to vote to table and postpone and direct staff and the applicant accordingly. The appellant/applicant does have a presentation as well. That is the conclusion of my presentation. I stand for any questions.
Councilor Bencomo, then Councilor Flores.
Thanks, Mayor, and thank you so much for the presentation. You've probably given it many times at this point. Yes, okay, I have several questions. So I do just want to note, I was also going to add what Mayor added at the beginning of this about people reaching out to me, and they were like, you're a representative, you have to answer, and I try to tell as many of you that because this is quasi-judicial, that I am not able to. It would be ex parte communication, and if I, in the process, before getting here today, engaged in a conversation with you or the applicant in favor or against whatever, I would have to recuse myself here today, and I didn't want to do that. So just for folks out there, for folks listening, that's why I was not engaging in your emails, but I was not ignoring them, I promise. I also want to note that it's interesting that, at the beginning of the meeting, we had a public comment about something similar from our neighbors in a different area about not wanting a mixed-use apartment complex in their neighborhood. And so I just want to point out that in the last 4 years that I've been here, I have never once gotten a request for a multifamily housing where there was no opposition by a community. Apartment complexes are always opposed by many folks, and so I just want to note that that is something really difficult to sit up here and often hear, because we, folks in our community don't want to see homelessness, but people also don't want to see homes being built and multifamily housing and housing for renters and the missing middle. And so it's just a really difficult position to be in often. And so that's where I'm coming from. I also want to note that infill development is so critical. It is so important. It's why we wanted to build 2 metropolitan redevelopment areas, because we see what development and investment in communities that have long been neglected can do for that community and for our city overall. So I really appreciate the folks who have come and want to develop an area that very much needs it. Anyway, I do have some questions for you. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between infill development and other kind of development, traditional development? I don't know what to call it, the other development.
Councilor Como, Mayor.
The non-infill.
Councilman Como, Mayor, I guess the biggest difference between this one and let's take, for instance, the other apartment complex that was brought up during public comment. That area is already potentially zoned for possibly multifamily, or they may have to do a zone change in order to allow for what it is that they're proposing on the property. The infill area kind of takes what that property might have to do, like a zone change or whatever it is, kind of a little more fast track, because we want to develop the infill area. And with the infill area, it's a little different because you can request additional land uses, you increase densities, increased heights potentially, encroachments into setbacks even, decrease in landscaping. So many different things can be requested through the IDP process itself. Just because staff will really elevate Las Cruces is pushing for the development of the core of the city. And instead of just continue developing more green, developing the inner part of the city. So that's kind of the difference between that. So because it's in the infill, it has the liberties to ask for these additional variances and changes, unlike somewhere else it's zoned for multifamily, so they just follow standards essentially.
So given all of these liberties, then it's very case by case, the applications and the way they're sort of reviewed and looked at by staff.
Councilor Como, Mayor, that is correct. The staff looks at it not only from a infill, that we want to encourage infill development, and we want to follow our comprehensive plan as well. We also want to make sure that we're kind of keeping an eye on, the goals of what an infill should do, but still take into consideration what is the surrounding area as well. So it is kind of it's never, it's always going to be a different shape trying to go into that square peg. It's a circle, it's a diamond, it's different shapes trying to make something work. So staff kind of works back and forth with the applicant to get these infill development proposals together, and hopefully through the process faster than typical.
Mm-hmm. Is the applicant here today?
I believe the appellant is here, yes, ma'am.
I will have some questions, not yet, but I will have some questions for you. So given what you just said about the environment, the context, I think for me, while I think it's incredible that folks are wanting to develop in this area, I also want to note that I have concerns. And given, I think particularly what you mentioned earlier was what they're coming into, the lacking infrastructure that exists currently on McClure. I often talk about traffic calming matters and how we need to increase our budget, we need to increase the ways in which we do traffic calming, because it is a very serious matter, particularly in, I think, all over the city, but in my district, I'm working with several neighborhoods who are experiencing fast traffic, irresponsible traffic, those kinds of things, and McClure happens to be one of those areas. And so I also understand that McClure is by no means anywhere close to being a complete street, and it is in fact very small driveway, very, very small. And so I do just have questions, and I think these may be for you for sure, but I think for Tony and for even Chief Story, just around the kinds of traffic calming programs that we currently have on McClure. What are you, Tony, for you, well actually for both of you, Chief Story and Tony, what are you seeing in the last few years? What has been the work on McClure, given I know we've received many complaints from the folks who live there around traffic calming matters, and the fact that it's not a complete street.
Gotcha. Mr. Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, Tony Trevino for the record again. So McClure has been kind of on our radar for quite some time. Back in 2017, we did have a traffic study done. That did show that there was speeding on that roadway. That I think the 85th percentile was about 35 to 38 miles per hour. However, like was said before, due to the minimum right-of-way there, as Mr. Ochoa said, it's a collector, should be an 85-foot right-of-way from property line to property line. We only have about 44 to 50 feet in some of the areas. Some no sidewalk, no curb and gutter through there. So, and for us to go there and physically do some kind of improvements, some chicane, some speed tables, it's really going to impact that neighborhood because of drainage. We already have a drainage issue there. So there's really not enough room within that right-of-way to install the proper traffic calming infrastructure without having a negative impact on everything else. So what we did back then is we installed some street traffic indicators. There's some, about halfway through there's two speed limit indicators, both going east and west, as well as some stop signs there. So that was at that time, with the limitations we have, that was what we were able to do for the traffic calming. And I believe, and Chief Story can kind of address this, but there has been communications with Sergeant Gonzalez from our traffic section to PD so they're going to do their own traffic studies and then proceed with some enforcement. So Public Works and PD are already being proactive this approach because it is limited to what we can do there, but we do realize there is a situation.
Thank you. So, to the applicant, it's not that you would be causing an additional traffic matter, is that you're already coming into a pretty serious traffic situation, right? Like that already exists. So, Chief, I'm wondering if you wanted to speak to this on McClure as well.
I think this is the first time I've had to use this.
Oh, welcome.
Jeremy Story, interim chief for the record. Mayor, Councilor Bencomo. Even back when I was in traffic in 2018, 2019, McClure came up. We did a long-time study and enforcement project in 2019 that resulted in 215 citations even back then. The following year in 2020, we ran a 37-week project, which as you is majority of the year. During that project, just for volumes, I just picked the beginning month and the end month. In January of 2020, there's 23,929 vehicles that went through while we were doing that study. And in September, 24,871 for the month. So it's pretty consistent with that volume. We have a project that we've started this year, primarily enforcement, so I don't have the exact numbers for volume for this year. But since 2019, we've issued 383 citations, 233 of those are for speeding in that area.
Yeah, significant. Thanks, Chief. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I did want to raise this because I've been talking a lot about traffic calming and how critical it is. And so while I really support and encourage and would never want to turn away folks who are interested in infill development, we also have to do it responsibly. And given, the issues that you have raised, both of you have raised, I think that raises some flags for me, particularly on the number 20. I really feel like that's too many for the current law and for the infrastructure that is significantly lacking in the area. And so I did want to raise those couple of issues. I know staff, reading through the packet, you are recommending 15 given the layers, or can you talk about that? That's sort of what I understood, but can you speak on that?
Sure. Councilor McCollum, Mayor, essentially what staff was looking at with this proposal was how can we allow multifamily on this property with not as much impact, if you will, with the potential density and the potential additional traffic and so on and so forth. So staff kind of looked at it kind of incrementally. So we did an incremental move up, if you will. Under our current zoning code, which is kind of what we use to guide infill, under the current zoning designation of R1A, they're allowed up to 8 dwelling units per acre. That being said, though, since those own single family, they would have to subdivide that lot in order to create those 8 dwelling units per acre. That being said, the next step up, staff is looking at it, would be basically the lowest on the spectrum multifamily zoning, which in our case, and under our current zoning code, is R2, which is multi-dwelling low density, which allows up to 15 dwelling units per acre. So that's what staff used kind of as a guiding force as to why 15 was brought up, just because it's just using our current code as a guide. That is the next step up incrementally to allow for additional density.
Yes, I appreciate your due diligence on not picking subjective numbers, right? And so to be very honest, though, I still feel like 15 is a lot given everything we just talked about. And so I do want to ask the applicant. I also did want to know, just reading through P&Z minutes and some of the opposition you listed here, I really do just want to push back on some of the narratives around multifamily housing, and that these myths that we sort of talk about, that it creates crime. I think even the developer talked about it's not a low-income development. Like, these things are deeply hurtful, and they're not just hurtful, they lead to bad policy making. And like I said, we talk about wanting to see less homelessness, but also not wanting to build more homes. And so I just want to encourage folks to understand the context of where at least I'm coming from, and to just push back on those damaging narratives that way too often are repeated. So I just wanted to note that. But I have some questions for the applicant. Is that okay, Mayor?
Councilor, this is how I'd like to conduct this, is after you get the initial questions done from Adam, then I'm gonna have the applicant come, and then I believe the residents have a presentation, and then I'll open it up to just the general residents if they're not part of that presentation. If you can wait until then, that would be.
Okay, then I have one more question for Adam, actually. I noticed that in the packet the developer was talking about setbacks from McClure. I'm wondering I think they were pretty significant. I'm wondering if you can talk about that being sort of helpful to some of these issues, and I just wondered about that.
Sure, Councilor Bencomo, Mayor. Staff did see, even though it's only essentially a two-story building, how it could potentially, by having those buildings closer to the street, could potentially kind of chicane or give the optical illusion that McClure is even less wide than that it is now. So by pushing back the buildings further from the street, that kind of alleviates that a little bit. Not only that, potential people complaining about privacy. So now your buildings are actually farther away from the street, so not closer to your house. So the actual distance, I'm not exactly sure how far it is. The applicant potentially answer that question for you, ma'am. But that's what staff saw with those buildings kind of being pushed back a little further from the street would allow for that. Additionally, would allow for, if any time possibly in the sometime future, we did get something in order to get additional right-of-way to widen that street. Now we have areas to potentially do that, open areas for the street to potentially be upgraded.
Thank you I just wanted to note that I appreciated that piece of the development. And then just before, again, opening up to the public, I just want to note that these are very estimated numbers, that we have a rental unit shortage in the city of 5,600. Like, we have a significant housing crisis on our hands. And so, wanting to work with developers, especially those in infill, but anywhere, is critical for us so that we can at least start making a dent on that number. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, and we also had Councilor Flores had a question, or did you want to wait until after the applicant? Yeah, okay. All right, so let's go ahead and bring the applicant down, if you would, please. And as you saw, Adam, the city clerk will have to have you sworn in. And
hello, Stephen Green. I'm one of the designers on this project. And
I'm sorry, your first name again?
Stephen Green. Stephen is my first name.
Okay.
Yes. Stephen. Yes.
Hi, Stephen.
Hi.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just to kind of present, again, what we're trying to do is the 20 unit was where it kind of came from, was because, again, Elevate gives you that range of 15 to 30. So we were trying to not be greedy by going all the way up to the 30, but after talking with staff, we felt 20 was a halfway point. Also, kind of to go back in time here, again, a portion of this land was sold to city to help alleviate the flooding in the area, which is a concern that is. Had the applicant not sold the land, this wouldn't be a discussion right now. They would have had the correct amount of land to get the densities they were after. So I feel like that's tough. But another thing was, I guess I'd had some questions for the city as far as the widening of McClure. I believe there was a fund granted to them not too long ago to work on McClure, and I haven't seen anything come of that yet. Have any of the people in the neighborhood decided to give up any of their area for a widening of the road? Has this been addressed either? I know we have. We've also allowed to put in a bike lane, other objects that would be important for that area. I think if other people were to do the same and follow suit, you might be able to accommodate a bike lane and other things going down that road. So that's something just to consider also, just kind of pointing those out. One last thing is, I think traffic, if I'm correct, on all the different approvals that went through the preliminary thing did give a yes and approval already on this. Did they look at the same packet we did? Right, because I believe that was already given as a yes. We looked at the packet. So did long-term planning. So they had also looked at this and already given an approval on it too. So that's the only reason why it feels like we got all yeses except for one staff. And they've given their reasons, but scientifically they haven't proven anything to me yet. I'd like to just see some background on that besides just no. That just doesn't seem right to me. Other than that, that's all I have to say about that. I'll turn it over to the applicant themselves.
How about if you want, you can kind of show us what you're proposing, why you like it, how it's going to flow, how's it compatible to the neighborhood, things
Yes,
like
sir.
that?
Yeah, so, one of the things I think what we were trying to accomplish.
And you're welcome to pull the screen up and.
How do I do that exactly? Oh. Okay, yeah. So again, you can see kind of what was here. He put the slideshow together, so it'd be better if he kind of presented that. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, good afternoon, everybody. My name is James Vaccaro. I'm on behalf of Mesilla Valley Properties.
Okay, James, city clerk's going to have to take your oath there.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
So I apologize, I actually did not have the site plan that was presented earlier by Adam, but to give you an idea, this is actually the property right here prior to it being demolished. So currently, don't quote me on this, but I believe there's 3, if not 4 dilapidated homes that are literally abandoned on this road. This was one of them. My boss, who's also my father-in-law, who owns this property, has family in the area and he wants to invest in this area. So that is the property as it stood. Here's the property now. So that home is demolished. It burned down. It burned down by an unwelcomed occupant. I don't know how to describe that any better. So here's where we're at. We sold a portion of this land to the city. We subdivided, and we wanted to invest in basically the flooding problem. And we also had fully disclosed that we had intent to build on this land prior to subdividing. When we presented the plan, it was going to be 20 to 30 unit apartment complex. So the star on this site photo here kind of just represents, on the top portion there is us. On a lower portion there is actually 1155 Miranda, which is almost approximately 70,000 square foot of floor space on apartments. One of the denials and reasoning was ingress and egress because McClure is just too small. Miranda is in the exact same situation and they're not having any problem. They have a full-length sidewalk end to end, whereas McClure does not. And also I don't know if there's been a traffic study on it, but they're not having an issue. So I would strongly encourage Public Works to get involved to address the McClure issue, but I don't know why that's on us as a developer. We're happy to help with that. We've allowed a bike path. We're absorbing and giving up our property for you to have more space because we also are concerned with the safety. The neighbors are concerned about the safety. I'll be honest with you, if we get approved for 20, that's fantastic. If we get approved for 15, the first person I'm going to talk to within the city is going to be Public Works because we're concerned over that street. We would love to see speed bumps, crosswalks, widening of the sidewalks. I mean, that street is a problem, but I don't feel as though it's our problem. I feel like it's more. So moving on, just to give you a small time limit, if I may. Basically, April 2020, the city of Las Cruces came to my boss and was interested in the land. So he considered it, and he actually sold 2.42 acres on March of 2021. He retained 1.12 acres of this land. When we met on January of 2022, Steve Green was present. He's our designer. We also met with at least a dozen people within community development, planning and zoning, and essentially we all went over the plan, and that's when it was brought to our attention that they would have liked to see the bike path extended. So our setback further pushed away. We gave up our land. Nobody objected to the 30 units being built, not one person. All the buildings were present, all the labelings, the quantity, the density, nobody said anything. Then all of a sudden the purchase agreement occurred on April 21st, 2022, and further down the line, we actually fully sold. So I attended the city council meeting, and actually one of the council members asked what was the owner's intent for the remainder of the land. Once again, I fully addressed and was transparent that the intent is 28 to 30 townhome units. So from the very beginning to today, we've been very transparent that this was going to be an apartment complex, or townhomes, I apologize. So today, here we are, sold and subdivided, and we're still fighting for what we feel is the best interest of the neighborhood. We're trying our best to just push the rumors aside. It's been pretty ridiculous, actually, some of the things we've heard, and there's no reason to address that actually today. So mentioning this further is Elevate Las Cruces. Planning and zoning was actually denying it. A couple people were actually absent. But a few that I just wanted to reiterate and actually just kind of ask Adam if he may. One would be the CP 9.2, promote denser housing options in urban neighborhoods, downtown, town centers, neighborhood centers, and mixed-use corridors identified in the future development map. We lie on that. The minimum was 15 per acre, all the way up to 30 per acre. We follow that entire comprehensive plan. Another one I felt worthy of noting was review and enhance infill policies to encourage more development activity in the infill area. City Councilor Bencomo, you mentioned yourself, I mean, we have a shortage of housing. Without actually allowing these infills and these densities, we're never gonna get there. We can't just build everything on Sonoma Ranch. We can't just say everything's R1 around it, let's just let it go down and never change. I mean, we did studies for traffic in 2017, 2018, what have we done since? Put up a couple signs. I mean, you can hear the neighbors today. Didn't do anything for them. Another one is promote investment within older areas of the city through redevelopment. We're doing that exact thing. We want to redevelop the area. We want to bring attention to McClure. We want more sidewalks. We want a bike path. As a matter of fact, there's actually an EBID irrigation canal that has a bike path and walking path along the thing that connects to McClure. There's not even a sidewalk connecting to that. People cannot walk safely even to get to that. And that was funded by bond money. Millions of dollars, actually. I don't know the exact amount. I have it on a photo. Nonetheless, though, is we need to look at McClure more than just our apartment proposal here. You know, I mean, I could go on about all these policies we follow and Elevate Las Cruces, and I'm not here to waste your time, but I mean, we've really done our best for the best interests of this community, and we want to just get 20 out of this. I mean, we were very transparent the entire way. Other than that, though, that's about all I have for this presentation. Yeah. Welcome to ask questions.
If I could, Adam, can you pull up the diagram? You had 4 buildings with 5 units each. I mean, are these 3-bedroom? Are they 2-bedroom, 2-bath? I mean, parking spaces, you know, things of this nature, if you don't mind. I mean, just some basics. And I think you had a kind of a diagram. So there are going to be more pitched roofs. They're going to be, you know, all connected together, things of this nature.
Certainly, yeah. So some of the design features here, you can see we've also taken into account 2 different dumpster locations as to help keep dumpster and trash on the property so that they're not worried about trash blowing around the neighborhood. But there's 4 separate buildings, 5 units each. You can see the doors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They will be kind of row style in each different one as to take up a lesser footprint. We're trying to minimize how large this looks. And we did push it back, and that was a big consideration with the applicant when I was going through the design with them. I said, I think it would be better if we push these to the rear to allow more green open space towards the street side, so as though it did not feel as though we were looming over the street and creating that. We do meet all the parking calculations and traffic calculations for this, and everything is a dual access, so there is in and out on both sides. Another thing to point out, this is gated. So the ins and outs of this is going to, waiting for the gate to open, everything else is going to help slow in and out traffic. It will slow down in traffic, but it also slows the out traffic. It also helps to add to the character of the buildings. I think having it gated in will keep a lot of the potential possibilities for destruction of the property down. They are having a little dog park area inside of it allow for dog walking and stuff like that. Again, some barbecuing areas up in the front where the green is. This isn't meant to be low income or looking like low income. This is meant to be a nice development, a nicer looking thing for the area. We don't want it to look low income. That is what we're trying not to do.
And so are they all 2-bedroom, 2-bath?
They will all be 2-bedroom, 2-bath, yes, sir. And again, they're not age restrictive. They're not anything restrictive. So again, hopefully this will go to possibly even maybe some older people, because there is an elderly center, not right but down the road, and hopefully that'll help with some of those people too, possibly, as well as families to, Mayfield and other areas. There's schools in the district. Not to mention the revenue that this is going to generate in taxes versus what an empty piece of land or a single family dwelling is. I mean, it actually does help to better the community in taxes also.
Any other questions before, because I've got a few more, I don't want to just hog it. Go ahead, Councilor Bencomo.
Thank you. Yes, just a couple more on specifics, but I wanted to ask you what low-income housing looked like, but I'm not going to. I just want to note that people who are low-income also deserve good quality housing.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Do you know about the average cost of a unit yet?
Well, depending on the design of this and what gets approved, that's how we will know. Now, obviously, the more units, the lower the cost of the per unit cost is. But that would be something we haven't done a study yet until we get this approved.
You don't have an average?
I think he actually has it.
Yes, I'm sorry. I mean the rent to individuals. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Sorry. So approximately, we're trying to make this the middle, so not luxury but not low, to where it's just budget built. Ideally, we're looking to anywhere between $1,200 to $1,400. It really just depends on what's approved and kind of where we stand on. I mean, it's been ongoing for several years now, so costs have inflated. So we just can't really dial it in until we get approved to proceed, and then from there we can get a better idea. But $1,200 to $1,400 ideally.
Okay, thanks.
I'd be interested to know what it's costing you. If you want to share it, I mean, that's fine.
The cost of the entire construction?
Yes.
Currently, we have some preliminary numbers that came in around 2.1 million for the entirety of the site.
Total square footage for the whole project?
We have that on another sheet. I'm trying to remember.
Okay, how about the unit? 800 square feet, 1,000 square feet?
They're about 800 square feet a unit, so you're looking at about 2,000 a building.
That's a good price to build it.
Yeah.
Now, these are all going to be single story?
These are two-story.
Oh, these are two-story?
Yes, they are.
Okay, I wondered how you got so many units in.
Right.
Because 1.1 sounds like a lot of land, but it's not that much.
No, and that, again, trying to keep that footprint down to fit the densities on it.
Go ahead.
One more question.
Sure,
for staff, maybe you all know as well. I'm curious how much the property the city purchased was for.
The city purchased 2.42 acres, and they purchased it for approximately 140-some thousand. I don't recall off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so are these going to be apartments, or are you going to sell them as condominium units?
They will be apartments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this in the flood zone?
No, this is not in the flood zone.
Okay, that's the only questions I've got. Well, hold on. So they're in the middle. I think I can see the ponding area.
Yes, that is correct.
And is that?
Yeah. So that is actually going to be a green space. The ponding will be green, and it's like a lull in the area to hold the water.
Are those those two squares, is that for?
Trash dumpster receptacles,
Okay.
yes, sir.
All right. Yes, Councilor Flores, you had a question? No, this is not city, yeah, private.
So if I understood correctly, you were saying that the unit is anywhere from 800 square feet to 1,000 square feet, and they're going to go for over $1,000 per unit? Is that what I understood?
That is correct, yes.
Wow. So, okay, thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead. I understand that if you're welcome to take your seat, or if you want to stay nearby in case there's any questions. But now we're going to ask, I believe the residents have a presentation. Is that right, Adam? Did the residents, did they provide, I believe they provided some type of a presentation that they'd like to make to council?
Mr. Mayor, it does not look like anything was uploaded. Staff did not receive any presentations from the members of the public.
Is there a spokesperson? Is there someone that was kind of loosely put in charge of the residents that would like to come forward? Okay, how many of you are here that would like to speak? So keep your hand up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Roughly 10 of you? Okay, so we'll allow 3 minutes each. So we'll just start on my left and just come to the podium. Did you need everyone? They don't need to be sworn. Yeah, I didn't think so. Just come to the podium, state your name, please, and tell us why you're either for or against this proposal.
Mayor, can I chime in quickly?
Sure.
Thank you. I recognize people who are about to speak. I recognize that part of best practices of public speaking is to try to make eye contact with everyone. But if you can just talk directly into the mic as much as possible, because when eye contact is made, it's appreciated, but then I can't hear you that well. It's just me. I went to too many punk rock shows in my girlhood.
Was that meant for
Thank
me?
you.
Okay, I'm sorry. David Wheeler, next door neighbor on McClure Road. Do you need to swear in or something like that?
No, sir, you do not need to be sworn in, but if you would move the microphone directly and talk.
Okay, how's that? Is that better?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Okay, sorry. Been to a lot of odd shows too. Here we are again. You know, the concept that there's
Excuse me, sir. Can you state your name one more time, please?
David Wheeler.
David.
603 McClure Road, right next door. I appreciate them wanting to do the most they can for the community and for their land and this and that. We've been there on that property for 97 years. Yes, it does flood, by the way. Anyway, it's a flood basin. That's how it was built. But anyway, there's not room for sidewalks up and down McClure. They'd have to take everyone's front lawn out. We've gone over this when they put in the Benavides Center and when they built all the homes up and down the S-curve there. This is as much as McClure could possibly take in traffic. That's all. Oh boy, that's it. That's the limit until someone else bought some land and wants to build on it. I don't blame these guys for wanting their money. You know, I'd want my money too. I'd want to build. That's what you do. Fine. You got 4 big buildings there, make them single-family homes. 4 big single-family homes. Why do you got to get 20 units out of that? You're going to build the same amount of, building. The traffic on that street is ridiculous. Anyone who's gone to work in the morning or come home from school in the afternoon, or there's a game at the park or something like that, you're backed up for hours. 4th of July when they had them down there, for hours. Ask anyone who lives on the street, it's true. It's a bottleneck from Alameda all the way through to Valley. And right next to that track is extremely tight. You can't even fit a car all the way across there. It's tight, it's old. It's old street. Been there for 100 years. And, I agree that people who are homeless deserve good housing. They do, absolutely they do. I think there's plenty of room still left in the valley, though, to find it without trying to squeeze in a big apartment complex in the middle of an old neighborhood with old residents who don't want to get in wrecks just to go home. They're tired of it. They're tired of this, man. Every 10 years this happens. Let's build a new something on McClure. No, man. We've tried that. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. The neighborhood's not going to like it. It's going to cause a huge problem. The guy behind me is not going to have a driveway. He's going to have to buy land from me to get into his house. All these things, and they can say it's not true. Whatever. I don't care. I live there every day. They're going to build, try to get their 20 and get out. I got to live there every day. All of us do. So I hope that we can move this down the line, or just make it 4 homes and we're done.
If you all are going to speak, if you could kind of move forward, that would be great, so that you get a little bit closer to there's plenty of seats up here. Thank you.
Hi, Mayor and City Council. My name is Justin, and I'm a property owner on McClure Road.
Excuse me, Justin, I need you to state your last name, please.
Oh, Justin Nations. I'm a property owner on McClure Road. This proposed development by Mesilla Valley Properties is going to have a negative impact on McClure Road in more than one way. I have lived on McClure for 7 years, and both my neighbors have as well, one for 20 years and the other for 50 years. And we have lived on this road, seen the rapidly increasing traffic, heard the constant noise, and experienced the crime firsthand. Vehicles constantly racing up and down the street throughout the day, not respecting the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit. The noise of both personal and business vehicles using the road to get to either Alameda or Valley using McClure has been a constant disturbance every day. The crime in this area has been on the rise. Throughout the years, my 84-year-old neighbor has lost many expensive tools due to property crime. His truck was also stolen. I myself had lost a dog due to crime. So the crime here is real. The development you are proposing will only make matters worse for all of us who live here. Also, what hasn't been mentioned is down McClure, I live across the street from this proposed development, so we're gonna see everything firsthand. It's gonna cause a lot of problems for us and my neighbors. And 2 doors down from our house, which hasn't been mentioned, there is a trailer park right on McClure Road that has over 35 trailers. So mentioning about high density, having a 4-unit of housing probably 2 people each, that's what, 80 people, and then add on the high density right across the street, right less than an eighth of a mile away. It's a trailer park of 35 and over trailers. So that's also gonna be an issue. Especially to those who live right next to the proposed development. This is a single family house community. It always has been, and it always should be. It was designed that way. The current homeowners in this neighborhood came here with the belief that the area would be zoned for single family dwellings. To deviate from that original design and intention would be an injustice to us all. Your proposed development would ruin our neighborhood and greatly decrease the quality of life to those who actually live on it. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Ria de Kruijf. I live right off McClure. I wanted to kind of remind everybody, it's a historic district. To put a development out there is so out of place. It makes no sense. I still see the apartment complex next to Las Cruces, Sun News. It's so out of place. This is beautifully Alameda Historic District. I don't know who came up with the idea to put apartments up there, but it's totally out of place. The traffic is horrendous. I live there every day, so I see the traffic up and down, racing, same thing the other people are saying. And what we're forgetting is Alameda, Hoagland, and McClure, they're bombarded. Oh, is that for me?
Sorry, I forgot to reset it.
They're bombarded with traffic. What we forget is that the roads are buckling, cracking, because so much traffic is going on there. Even Alameda is bombarded with traffic. It's like a freeway, back to back to back to back cars. These are not roads made for this kind of traffic at all. We forget that. You know, Legend West was built, a lot of traffic is pushing through, day in, day out. And on McClure, there's no sidewalks, there's speeding, and there's definitely flooding out there. I'm asking you, please consider it not going through with this development. It's out of place, it's a problem. It's going to be a problem. Thank you for your time.
Before the next speaker, Adam, real quick, the developer would be required to put in sidewalks at least along their portion from one end to the other. Is that correct?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor, that is correct. When they do develop that property, they would have to provide some type of improvements to the existing right-of-way. Really depends also whatever traffic engineering section, when they do an actual review of what is being proposed to be developed, potential improvements to the road as well, sir.
Just also out of curiosity, you would happen to know if there are, how many city streetlights there are? If there's none in that area, they probably would at least need to put one, I would think. I don't know, but
Mr. Mayor, Council, when staff went to go do a field visit, we did not see any, really, to be quite honest with you. If there are some, they're few and far in between, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yes, ma'am, thank you for.
I'm Mary Ames.
I'm
Do you
sorry.
want me to swear to anything?
No. We just need you to state your name, please.
Mary Ames.
Mary Ames, okay?
I started and continue a petition on change.org that I sent to every council member, just so that you know. Last count, 201 people signed in opposition to this. Now, I do have questions. Actually, most of these go right to the developer. I want an estimated timeline for construction of all housing units, what type of construction equipment will be utilized, and how many pieces of equipment, and the time duration that they will be on the road. What's their egress on that road? What promises were made to you from any and all city officials to allow this variance? How much money has exchanged hands? Who is funding the project, including water, sewer, electrical connections? How many people have you sued in the last 4 years, and what were the outcomes? How have you worked with city engineers to mitigate traffic congestion on McClure? And I would like Mr. Green to answer who he is married to and what her job is. While representatives of this small family visits give answers, I'll be in the back with a letter to the State Attorney General collecting signatures from others who also want that office to have forensic accountants inspect the records of all allowed variances for the past 5 years, the officials who signed off, and the developers who were involved in such project. Thank you for your time. Oh, and by the way, somebody posted on Facebook that section of McClure at night, no traffic lights.
Okay, good, thank you for that. Okay, next person.
Hello, my name is Yolanda Canodal. I was hesitant about coming up here, but I live off of McClure. I've lived there about 40 years, and I've seen it, traffic come and go. I'm very involved with the senior programs there at Benavides, and I've been visiting with the people there, and they are so delighted that they're going to build apartments there. And the conversations that I've had with a lot of them, they're excited that apartments are going to come up. It's better to have some apartments come up to help people, house people, than people on the streets and stuff. But I would have to say that it's a breath of fresh air from these gentlemen. I support it 100%.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I am Don Lappinga. I'm, I guess, the block captain, crime watch coordinator on McClure. I live 5 houses down from Alameda, so I interact with the neighbors a lot and have heard the same concerns. I'm going to be very brief. I just have a couple comments to make. First of all, I think it was mentioned that McClure is not like the other street where their apartments are. This is a thoroughfare, and we're absorbing traffic from extensive development west of Valley. I ride the bike trail a lot. That expansion is incredible, and our small little streets are absorbing that traffic, so it's a different situation than what was described. The concern I have, well, obviously, is traffic, but we also have vacant properties on Kinsmont and McClure, 407 McClure, which has been abandoned since I've lived there. I've only lived there 7 years. We're wondering what's going to happen with that property. That's probably 2 lots. And then what we affectionately call McClure Ruins, right across the street from me, and that's 3 lots, and that's been abandoned for over 20 years, a real problem for us. So if this variance is approved, I'm wondering if this is going to open the floodgates for more multi-housing down McClure toward us and Alameda. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Stacy Sloan. I live on Carlisle Drive. And I have record requests in with the city, and I still haven't received those. I sent them on the day that the hearing sign was posted, and they told me they have until September 7th to get those to me, so I had emailed asking for a postponement on the decision. But if they're not going to delay the decision today, I would like to address a few concerns. Same thing, traffic, parking. It's zoned R1A, which requires 2 spaces per unit. So if you jump to an R2, R3, the parking then drops to 1.5 spaces per unit due to jumping into multifamily housing. From what we were told at the last hearing, there'll be parking for 30, but occupancy of up to 45. My question is, where will the visitor parking be? What happens if for some reason they do not have enough parking spaces for the renters? Where will the deliveries, emergency services be able to park and access these units without creating a hazard on the street? There is no street parking on McClure, and the closest street for overflow is Carlisle, which is already far too congested and cannot handle the overflow parking, not to mention the pedestrians would then be crossing McClure to get to those units. McClure is such a narrow street, there are no turn lanes or anywhere for all the people that need to get into those units out of the traffic flow in a timely manner. We have also not received our records requests regarding traffic and drainage studies, and I feel all this should be done prior to allowing development. We have no infrastructure on that side of McClure that this development is going on to handle pedestrian and bike traffic, which was one of the big arguments that they used at the last hearing, was that people would be walking and biking and not in their cars. But anyone that knows McClure on that side knows this is not the case, and it is simply not safe. And they keep referencing Elevate Las Cruces and all these components, but if you go to the municipal code, Article 1, and you read the staff findings, which Councilor Bencomo, you referenced, they have all the listings here of why they denied this, and it is congruent with those findings from that municipal code about the increase in danger to fire, public safety. It is not orderly and phased growth, all these different things that you guys have the packet already, and so I just really appreciate you guys for taking the time to look through everything and address all of our concerns. Thank you.
Ooh, this is high. My name is Leonis Wheeler.
I'm sorry, ma'am, your first name again?
Pardon me?
What, your first name again?
Leonis
Leo.
Wheeler. My father owned that property originally, and he sold it. I don't see how putting an apartment thing like this will elevate Las Cruces. I think someone is trying to make a lot of money off of somebody, and I don't know who. But I think it would be a shame to change this wonderful one-family street. Those places have been owned for years and years and years, and someone is not honoring that. They'd have to put in new sidewalks, do everything, and I think it would be a shame to do this when there are so many places on Valley or other places where this could be built and not bother so many people. And I can understand the people who are there worried about the traffic and all of that. I am too, and I don't live there anymore, but I grew up there, and I remember how it used to be, and still is to a certain extent. And if a place like this is built, that is gone forever. I'm sorry. Thank you.
My name is George Pearson. Opposition seems to be focused on traffic on McClure Road. Criticism of this roadway design is valid. However, the problem exists now, and additional traffic from the 20 so residents will not change the situation. With 20 units, 2 drivers per unit, this would add about 80 trips per day. On my street, I have about 1,100 vehicles driving past my house every day. I wouldn't notice an additional 80 vehicles driving by. The issues with McClure Road need to be addressed, but separately from the proposed development. I often hear the need for housing in Las Cruces, and this development would help with that need. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's about 10 of you. Oh. There's
Stephen Taschereau. I live on Linda Vista, which is in the vicinity. The developer suggested that city officials led him on, and he had many meetings with them. I can't imagine that people at these meetings did not know that the property was zoned for residential use. So I don't think the council should be influenced by the fact that city officials had discussions with the developer. And even if they suggested to him that the zoning would be approved or that the zoning would be changed, that is not, unless the city councilors actually spoke to the person and suggested that themselves, I don't think the fact that they got that impression from city staff should have any bearing on the matter. I also don't see how a gated community will help the homeless, directly at least. I don't see a gated community being rented by someone who is homeless. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask him a question?
Sure. You have a question to ask
Yes,
of
I have
this
a
gentleman? Mr. Tessero? Yes.
Yes.
Mr.
Stephen.
So you said that you mentioned city officials. We are the elected people up here. We're the city officials, and you're saying that there were conversations.
Well, I mean, he said he had conversations with city officials.
Well, city officials.
Perhaps he meant staff.
I don't know what is meant by that or who said what, but I just want to make it clear that I think that you meant city staff.
That is what I meant.
Okay. And so I just want to make that clear to the public that none of us here has had, well, I haven't actually taken a poll, but we do not have those sorts of conversations with developers or anything like that. So I just want to make that clear. It's not within the purview.
It would be of interest
role.
to me what the city plans to do with the adjacent lot that they purchased from the developer. And the developer claimed that he would not have sold it to the city if he expected the zoning not to be changed.
Well,
I mean, who negotiated the sale of that property, and why did he have the impression that the zoning was no problem when he sold it?
Well, okay, thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, we'll get to that after this lady. Go ahead, please. And so I'm interested in a couple questions myself.
Can you hear me? My name is Linda Maddox. I live on Golden Drive. It is a cul-de-sac that's attached to Carlisle, and Carlisle runs between McClure and Hoagland. And the railroad tracks runs parallel to Carlisle. And I've lived there long enough that I remember when the fields on the other side of the railroad track were growing onions and chilies and cotton. So our area has allowed development, has accepted and welcomed, developers, and met to add to our area, and we've benefited from that. I've also gone to meetings in the past that were at Benavides Center when we were talking to the developers that were developing on the on my opposite side of the railroad track, where the roads could be built wider, where they could meet drainage standards, and they worked out all those details with the city, and it's great. And they put in a traffic light at Valley. They also have a traffic light at Hoagland. And Hoagland is very nice, wide with appropriate sidewalks and can handle the traffic. But what happens is there's no lights on either of those streets other than at Valley, and the traffic is trying to like go into Alameda and everything backs up. And so people then do crossovers. So my Carlisle, which is the crossover street, now has had increased traffic, and teenagers, of course, speeding. You can't control that, but the roads are, better. And so it's making it much more difficult for us in the middle to get out and use it. The biggest thing on McClure is the distance between the existing railroad tracks and the ditch bank. And I have a question about that, because BLM manages that. The ditch bank that goes over the drainage is only so wide. You can't make that any wider, and it's a 2-car width. No sidewalks, emergency vehicles, that whole thing. So who's gonna handle that? I don't know enough about how things are broken down. But that I feel like needs to be addressed. That is also got a rise to it, so when it's bad weather, sunset, kids on the side of the street, bicycles, it just makes it very, very narrow. And where I guess that's all the time I have. But the house, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let me just ask you a couple questions, Adam, if you can answer them. If you could go back to the screen that showed, it showed the parcels, the various parcels, where it was located. Not that one. That one. So are you aware of any property that the city purchased, and if so, where would it have been?
Mayor, the property the applicant's referring to is this one right here. That property, essentially the property was this big. It was subdivided into 2 separate lots, one which he still owns and the other lot that was sold to the city.
And approximately when was that?
Last year.
Okay.
About last year,
Yeah,
sir.
okay. And let's see. Okay, thank you for that. So if you can just leave that up, that'd be great. And this is really important here. We want to make sure that, as was mentioned by, I think, Councilor Bencomo, when this goes to an appeal, councilors cannot talk to a member of the applicant, email, anything. Is that correct? Did any of you have any conversations? Because you would have to be recused.
No.
No, okay.
Mayor, I did there were a couple of people, I don't remember who they were, and I said, I'm unable to. I sit as a quasi.
Yeah, as long as you
at
didn't take a
quasi-
position on it.
Yeah, I
okay.
don't take a
Yeah,
position,
tell me
no,
that.
but
Okay,
I
good.
want,
just wanted to clear
you
those.
to know that, yes.
Okay. I wanted the public to hear those 2 things. Okay, so there's a couple questions, I think, since you're up here, real quick, Adam. Okay, so you addressed the sidewalks. I think we'll take a look at the traffic lights. So the applicant would be required to provide a certain amount of right-of-way, or is it already existing there? It just hasn't been utilized?
Mayor, when the subdivision was done, I believe some right-of-way was taken for potential widening of McClure, but nothing minimal, not minimal, I don't want to take that word back. Whatever requirements, whatever improvements that will be required to the property adjacent to the street there, required by traffic engineering or engineering, will have to be done with the development, sir.
Okay, and I don't know if this has ever been discussed, but if this is going to be gated, does the applicant, were they planning on turning over all the infrastructure that they provide, like the sewer system, the road throughout there? I guess what I'm trying to get at is, if they don't turn it over to the city, then they're going to be responsible for the upkeep of it. But I would presume that 99.9% of the people turn it over to the city for us to maintain.
Mayor, if it's in the right of way, it's essentially ours, so we would maintain it, if you will, but anything that's on their property, they would maintain.
Well, no, I'm talking about like when they build out the sewer system and things of this nature, they have the option of giving it to the city, all that infrastructure, because if not, I mean, they have a problem at 3 o'clock in the morning, they're gonna have to fix it. Usually they turn over, usually, but like I said, that's kind of down the road. But I wanted to, if you would explain to the public, I know if it had been an actual ownership of gated property and they own the property, but since this is an apartment, can you explain how that would work as far as a gated apartment? I mean, that's still something there. It's still, police can still go in there if they need to, public service.
Yes, Mayor. So essentially, they would work with city utilities departments, Paso Electric, whoever it is, that provide utilities to there. The extension of those lines and everything, it'd be up to the developer, just like any apartment complex. Anything breaks or anything that needs to be fixed, and it's the city's responsibility, either the meters, you name it, the city would be responsible to taking care of those. If it's just water lines breaking that's running from one apartment to another, that'd be on the developer to maintain that, essentially.
Right. I guess what I'm trying to say is they are required to build everything up to city standards, because like I said, 99% of the time, they're going to turn all that infrastructure over to the city. It's got to be compatible with our water system, our water lines, the fire hydrants. I presume they have to build 1 or 2 fire hydrants in there.
Mayor, you are correct. Anything that gets built on the property will have to be made brought up to city standards. That is correct, sir.
Okay. Okay, that's all the questions I had. Councilor Beta, and then Councilor Bencomo.
Thank you. I had a question based on what's in page 21 of our staff packets. I had a few issues about concerns about public safety. When I look in this, what I see is it's different departments and kind of status of approval, denial. What I see with fire is approved, city MPO approved, flood zone approved, traffic engineering approved, engineering review but not required, utility engineering approved, long-range planning approved, planning denied. Is there anything that I'm missing here when I hear these comments about the potential with the public safety that goes beyond the issues that residents have with the traffic?
Councilor Beta, Mayor, essentially they recommend, it's a kind of a conceptual review with this infill development proposal. They approve the concept of what is being proposed. That being said, though, there's still additional reviews when it actually comes in for construction, that those sections will actually be able to review as well to make sure that whatever is being built on there will still meet city standards. If any improvements need to happen, they'll take place at that time as well. But from the beginning, through the infill planning, staff was against what is being proposed.
Okay, so anything that is remarked on with public safety, is that conjecture instead of a solid item that we have listed in our packets?
Councilor Beta, Mayor, it's again being guided by what is the infill development proposal of the 2001 zoning code. Staff is looking at it, kind of balancing it, if you will. Like I said, we do have goals and policies that kind of guide us through our 2001 zoning code, and staff just felt that what was being proposed did not meet that.
Okay, so there's nothing that says that there's something that is not meeting any sort of safety standards?
Councilor Beta, Mayor, that is correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, we have Mayor Pro Tem Gondara, Councilor Bencomo, and Councilor Graham.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Adam. So this is really tough because we are in desperate need of housing, all types. Our housing stock is very low. But I'm also concerned about the packet and what kind of along the lines of Councilor Abeda having sort of planning and zoning, right? Denying it over those same issues that departments have approved. And some of the concerns that I have is around the streets and the sidewalk, incomplete streets. And so I don't know if the public is aware that we have a street management program. I think it's important to note that. And I know, Tony, you're here. Can you come up and explain that and what the score is specifically from McClure and what our plans are to improve that street and the cost? I know you've been, we've been talking about it for some time. It is a problem area, and so I'll stop there because you're at the mic.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem. That's a huge question, but let me try eating it one bite at a time. Yes, we do have a pavement management system. What this is, just for the public's information, is we go throughout the city with a superhero scientific van that kind of goes over there and measures the quality of the roadway, the asphalt, the cracks, and everything. So every roadway in the city is analyzed and measured. Based on this study, every street in the city is ranked with 0 to 100 score. Right now, McClure does have a condition of green, so it's not in the near future being to any kind of maintenance. However, we have been looking at this area. Just to kind of go back to the property that was mentioned before, it was Public Works that reached out to the owner to say, can we purchase property to build a drainage pond? That is the main reason why we spoke. The conversation was just for the drainage pond. That is the first thing. So for us, before we go and do any kind of maintenance there, we got to figure out the drainage. How are we going to do it? Do the underground first. So Public Works has already reached out with a consultant, has had a design study done, and we're looking at ways to kind of see how we can plan this out. Because it's not just McClure, it's Carlisle, it's every single road that's in that area. So we're trying to see how we're going to attack this big endeavor, feasible, reasonable, of how we can kind of get this whole thing accomplished. So it's not just, we can't just go and start doing improvements to the roadway and then eventually in a couple of years go out there and tear it down and then put new utilities, new storm drain in there. So we got to make sure we attack this in the right way, in the best interest for all the residents.
Thanks, Tony. Now, does the scoring also include the sidewalks?
This is just a pavement because there are no sidewalks.
Okay.
There's just some gaps of sidewalk in front of some houses.
You have
but
the gap
yeah.
study. Okay.
Sure.
So did you say that you've completed the drainage, the drainage plan, the design at least study?
The drainage is about 80% complete. We did get it. We reviewed
80%?
it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We did review it, gave some comments back to the consultant, kind of some concerns with their preliminary design concept. So gave it back. And then we also asked them to look at the west half of McClure on the other side of the railroad tracks to see how that can be accommodated for drainage.
Which is problematic too. So Tony, how does this factor into, or will it influence it positively, negatively with this particular potential project?
The project that is being spoken about today is its own individual project. Any stormwater that they create, in addition to the historic flow, must be contained on their site. So we're going to just take in the historical flow that's in that area. So whether or not they design it now or 5 years down the road, that flow of volume is not going to change into our pond. What will change it might be is just if they do any improvements in front and adjacent to their project, they will have to bring that roadway segment up to standards. So we might have some curb and gutter in a little bit of area, and how we're going to control some of that runoff and drainage as it goes to the side. So
with exactly what you said, how does that factor into what they're doing? If they're required to develop the sidewalks, they would then be required to do drain and gutter work, no?
Part of their segment, yes, but
Okay.
it's only going to be in front of their property.
It's just
so.
that piece of it.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
how much more feet are we, or how long in miles are we talking? That whole McClure?
Yes.
How
Mayor Pro Tem. So with them, just kind of going to the, it's right here. So is there a better picture here? Not really. So right here, my area is right here. That's where any improvements will stop on the south side of McClure, and that'll be right adjacent to our property. But it's all this area over here and all up in here that we got to figure out how we're going to take. And there's going to be some major storm drain improvements required for there. So new utilities throughout.
So, and you can answer the streetlights. How many are on McClure?
I looked, as soon as it was brought up, I looked at our maps and I don't see any. So whatever is required per our design standards, it'll be required to put on there.
What would how many would you suggest, recommend?
I would probably say there'd be about 2 or so on there for now, maybe 3, depending on the lumens and the width of the roadway. So we do kind of a study of the lighting flow. So everything's on computer.
So what is your estimate of completion of that study, the design study?
I hope to have the design done by October, November. And that is kind of, just kind of put in perspective, this is the second study we've done in the city. The other one was off of Del Rey in the South Fork Moreno. where we kind of did a full study, improvements, and how we can kind of foresee and kind of plan for the future for a drainage improvement. So this in conjunction with that, there's two in line, so we got to kind of see, prioritize and move forward with that.
Appreciate that, Tony, very much. My questions are to Mr. Ochoa around planning and zoning and the number of folks that were absent, and is there internal or
Excuse me, Mayor Pro Tem. Tony, don't leave yet. I got a question to
He has
ask
a
you.
question for you?
Just one hang on.
I noticed that we had 3 absent commissioners, and there were 4 here. Is that a quorum?
Mayor Pro Tem, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We had 4 members. That was enough for quorum to have the meeting that night.
And a tie.
Yes,
2
ma'am.
to 2.
The final vote was 2-2, so essentially it failed.
Okay. Yeah, I am really concerned about the timing of this. I know there's a number of folks that have requested certain things from the city related to the drainage study, the design. I just feel all that factors into decisions for us. I can also understand the traffic, particularly the Chief Story's speaking to the traffic that, the examples that he gave, I think, was the latest 2017, or is there something 2020, I think? Yes, right, Chief Story, 2020?
Mayor Pro Tem, the numbers I gave were from 2020, and then we also had a study and project in 2019. So 2019 and 2020, but the volume was from 2020.
Thank you for that. So with all that, I'm wondering if it's best that we table and wait for some of this other stuff to come in to really have an understanding about what, how this contributes, right, to how the various issues contribute to this project. I imagine, hi, Dr. Pitts.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, and I go to Councilor Obeda's comment as well. I just want to talk a little bit about what this project, what's before you, and why a drainage study is not relevant. This drainage study will not come in before this decision needs to be rendered. They're not going to do their drainage study until they're approved to do the project. This is a planning project, which is why planning was the one to make the recommendation. It's a project saying that it's the appropriate level of development for the area at this moment in time. So that was the decision that the planning and zoning made. Adam made that comment at the very beginning, that was based on an incremental understanding of development, that we could go one step further, but we did not feel it was staff's place to go any further than that. What your staff report says is that there are not, that the police, the fire, the traffic can make do. They'll figure out how to do it if this is a by right development. The question is a planning question to you of whether this is the appropriate level of development in this location, and should we be making do, or should we be fully prepared before we open this area up for further development, or maybe we should never open this up for further development. But honestly, that's a question we put before the Planning and Zoning Board, and they gave us an answer, and now it's been appealed and is before you. That's not staff's place to make that decision. Our decision is, does it meet code, does it not meet code? So the question...
Did you not make a recommendation to them?
We did make a recommendation.
And what was that, for the record?
Denial.
Yes.
And it was a recommendation of denial because we through our professional opinion, evaluated that no more than one increment higher of development would be appropriate for the neighborhood as it currently is developed. What they're asking for is 2 increments higher. That's your choice. I mean, if you guys think that's appropriate for this area, we will process their application. We'll get our drainage studies and so on, and our traffic analysis, and they'll have to do whatever they have to do to meet the traffic
requirements, we'll go through and fire requirements and so on. We will make sure that the people that live in these houses are safe. But it was a planning decision that we, through our professional planning experience, said that one level of density higher, yes. 2 densities, no, that's too much.
So the one is the 8.
8 would be not quite allowed by right. That would still require an infill development proposal approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. But 15 would be allowed if they went to an R2 zoning. And we would have recommended approval on an R2 zoning.
Okay.
And so we would recommend approval on 15 units. We would not recommend approval higher, but honestly, we can make it all work because that's what we do. That's our job. We will make sure that the people that live there, no matter what your decision is, are living in a safe environment where.
Well, that's the point, right?
Right.
Is doing it safely for everybody that lives in that area, to include the new or prospective individuals. And right now, you're feeling it's too much.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Where did Tony go? So Tony, just to clarify, where it says on this map, where it says subject property, so I guess this would be west of it, that entire block was purchased by the city, most likely, I'm going to presume, flood control monies?
Mayor, exactly
Okay.
correct.
So for the members of the public, so when the city has different little pockets of money. So when they use flood control money, this is not for any speculation. It can't be used for development, only for drainage or flood control. So I remember, gosh, it had to have been in the early 2000s, El Molino drainage. When we did that, there was a swath of residents who in the past had been paying flood insurance. Flood insurance is expensive, sometimes as much as a house payment. They didn't have to pay it anymore because the city was able to build this type of a drainage to capture that water and take the residents out of a flood zone. And since this is so close to the Benavides Center, that area really does see a lot of flooding. I know I've been in that area to talk with residents about some of the concerns that they had. But I just wanted to clarify, because it was brought up. So this land that was purchased was strictly for flood control and drainage and nothing else. So I just wanted to be on the record. Thank you. Let's see, we have Councilor Bencomo.
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you all. You can stay up there, Tony. I have a couple comments.
Okay.
You can sit also, but I also have
Thanks,
a couple
Adam.
questions. Oh goodness, this conversation on make do brought up a lot for me because I think we are so desperate for housing. And we're so desperate and focused on developing in the infill, and at what cost and to whom. And so I am not comfortable with make-do mentality personally. And I'm sorry, Tony, I'm looking straight at you. That's just where I
Thanks
look.
for keeping me up here.
Because I want to do development responsibly. I want to do development that is helpful to the issue, and I don't know that 20 does that. So I just want to note that I don't want us to have will make do mentality. Fire will make do. PD will make do. I want us to have responsible planning. And it's hard. It's hard to get developers to want to do work in the infill. And that's on us, right? We have to build better waivers and impact, like all of these things. That's on us. We have to work on that. And I hope that we get an opportunity to do that, especially with the MRA. I also do want to note that I have been working with also the residents around Hoagland, who that gets backed up significantly, much like someone was saying already on McClure. So at like 3 to 5 p.m., you will have a row of cars significantly back because it gets congested because of Alameda. I will note that I've been working with public works staff on addressing the issue on Hoagland, and I won't say residents, a resident has not been willing to cooperate with the city to alleviate some of those concerns. And so I do hope that when we come to residents of McClure or Hoagland and we want to make street improvements and we're asking for folks to cooperate, that you are willing to cooperate with us, because it can't just both be, this is terrible and it sucks, but we're not willing to come to the table to do something about it, right? So that's been my frustration with trying to put a light at Hoagland and Alameda, that there has been a resident who has not been willing to come to the table for those discussions. And so I do want to note that there is a lot to balance here, and I wanted to lift that up. Additionally, I've been talking to City Manager Peely and several other folks and doing so much research around abandoned properties and really trying to lift up again our Neighborhood Action Team program that addresses abandoned properties. We've really set the tone moving forward with the Skeletor building downtown and talking about when people abandon their responsibility. As somebody pointed out, there are several abandoned properties on McClure. And to me, many of those properties are actually what's causing a community safety concern. Those abandoned properties cause public safety concerns. Those abandoned properties also hurt the property values of the surrounding neighborhood. So for me, I would much rather see new development where these old abandoned properties are than either old abandoned properties or nothing at all. So I do want to point out those things because there is not just this McClure neighborhood, but the MacArthur neighborhood is experiencing this. Many historic neighborhoods are experiencing this, and we're trying to target because they are posing a significant concern. But I would much rather see development. Anyway, let me get off my soapbox now. I just wanted to point those things out because it is not an easy decision, and there is a lot of layers that go into this. Somebody, one of the constituents did bring up the overflow parking issue. That was actually pretty interesting, and I would like to learn more about from the developer, Tony. So I didn't need you, I don't think, after all. Sorry.
Thanks a lot.
On the issue of overflow parking and the visitors parking, do you remember that question? Do you want me to?
Yes, I do remember it. So one of the things is you are allowed, we have the minimum amount that is required for it. Any overflow parking could be done also in interior along the curbage and everything inside that pond area. There's places to park along that. Can't block designated fire lane that would be designated through further development. Again, some of these could be addressed through further development. The point being, this is pre-planning, trying to figure out if this is even going to be able to go through. Don't want to do condensed studies and spend money on something that would not get approved at the end of the day. So these would be things that we could look at and probably help alleviate problems to that, yes. And there is obviously more green space, so we could put additional parking if that was a concern. So,
as you've heard me say, I am not currently comfortable at 20. Are you willing to go down?
That's not my decision. I'll turn that over to them.
Hello. So the owner has actually declined that offer already once, or multiple times actually. Originally, again, when we subdivided and sold that land, the intent was 30. Multiple times that was disclosed. I mean, it couldn't have been more transparent. He's pretty firm at 20 because that was already a negotiated amount from what he originally wanted of 30. He's came down substantially. So at this time, I don't believe he'd be willing to negotiate. 20 is pretty reasonable in his negotiations already.
Okay, and I just want to make some stuff clear. Also, I see staff lift, I think you've been wanting to say something for a minute. But I do just want to note that whatever conversations were had are somewhat irrelevant here because the decision falls on 7 people.
Yeah, no, so the conversations that actually took place that I was referencing, one of the gentlemen in the neighborhood, it sounded like he felt as though I was claiming I had conversations with any of you or my boss or anybody in the development party on this side. We've never had any conversations with any of you here. The conversations that we had were strictly with community development and planning and zoning, and that was just through, conversations legally in their development building. So it was an open public meeting, frankly. That's the only conversations that's ever take place.
Okay, thank you. I just felt important to clarify that once again.
Sure, you, Selena, you wanted to say something?
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council.
Celicia Villegas with Economic Development. For the record, I was the staff for negotiating the purchase of the land, city purchase of the land on behalf of Public Works for the ponding. So this has been a long...
Just to be clear, you're talking about the one for the drainage?
For the drainage.
Yeah, not
and
the
it was
one, not the subject property.
Ponding only,
Yeah,
yes.
right.
So just to give you some brief background, I had been dealing with the previous property owner, and in the middle of negotiations, they sold to the current property owner of that. So negotiations started back in April of 2020 for this regarding the purchase for ponding. It was determined that the city would purchase only the portion of land needed to address the drainage issues in the area. And almost a year later, in February 2021, the first questions regarding the development on the remainder parcel was asked by the owner. He was wanting at that time to only put up some townhomes. So I inquired with city staff, forwarded an email to the owner from community development explaining that the property was zoned R1A, and that there was plenty of room to subdivide their remainder parcel if they wanted to put up townhomes. Because of this, because stating that the townhomes are an allowed use on individual lots. So they would have had to subdivide their parcels if they wanted townhomes in there. And the email also stated that, however, duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes are not permitted. This was on February 26, 2021 via email. A few days later, on March 1st, the owner accepted the city's purchase offer via email with this knowledge. So they sent a conceptual drawing showing their intentions of subdividing their remainder parcel into 3 lots with intentions of renovating the existing home on one and building townhomes on the other 2 lots. So on 4/6, after negotiating and reviewing the purchase agreement, this was 2021, the owner signed and submitted the purchase agreement. The terms of the agreement did not include any matters involving the development of the remnant parcel, and the owner was advised that development is a separate process through community development. Also, later on in July of 21, he also stated he wanted to put 4 to 5 units or maybe a 4-plex and renovate the existing home. Staff did reply via email that as zoned, only 1 dwelling is permitted per lot, but there are some options to achieve a 4-plex or similar. Those included a zone change or infill request. She later explained the process needed to do so, and on July 30th, the owner stated his plans to move forward with the infill process. And CD directed as to that process. At this point, I was less involved since the development process goes through community development. However, I did follow up to ensure that the purchase agreement was complete, the terms were complete, such as the subdivision plat and the demo of the house since it got caught on fire. So for the record, city staff is not authorized to make any promises on zoning changes. Promising a zone change of a property in a specified manner in exchange for a party's conveyance of property that is needed for public use would be considered illegal because such a promise would preempt the power of the zoning authority. So that's NMSA 3-21-6. So I just wanted to make sure we put that on the record for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilor Bicomo, did you still have any more questions? No. Councilor Graham?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone. A quick question for Adam, Tony, maybe just you, Mayor, not someone, whoever wants to take a swing. So when we're talking about the developer's responsibility for road improvements in their little area, help me understand, because what I'm picturing is then this kind of improvement island We have, so one side of McClure is as it is now. There's this little like sweet island of improvement, and then the other side is just as it is now. Am I envisioning that incorrectly?
I'll let Adam jump on that, but normally, because there's already a city road, I don't know what the requirement that the city is going to require. Now, when there's new roads that are being developed and there hasn't been a road yet, that's usually when the city says, well, you're supposed to build half of the road or half of the median, things of this nature, but.
Councilor Graham, Mayor, to answer that question, so there are sometimes some improvements that would be required to any adjacent right-of-way to any type of development. Decel lanes, acceleration lanes, sidewalks, curb gutter. It depends on what when they actually do a full-blown submittal for development. We potentially ask for traffic engineering studies to be done, possibly just to see what it is what they're proposing, their final actual proposal, how the property is going to be built, what improvements the city will make them do in order to provide access to, or safe access to, that property. And you are correct in thinking it'd just be there in front of their property. It wouldn't be across the street or down the street, more just what's in front of them.
Okay. What are there, and if so, what are the kind of unique challenges? I'm sure we've found ourselves in these situations before, maybe not so much in infill development, but where you have a road, there is just one area of improvement, and then if you have to bring everything else up to the standard of the improved area, what are the unique challenges of that, if any?
I'll leave that up to Public Works. They do it all the time.
Mayor, Councilor Graham, you asked a question, right? So we've come across the situation several times, and we've either had the developer build the improvements, because some of those improvements aren't just going to be adjacent to the property. Sometimes we got to go off-site to bring the utility requirement to get in. It just depends on the demand they have. I don't know if utilities cross the railroad and what so creating a loop. So it just depends on the demand those structures are bringing in. Also roadways. Sometimes we've had developers extend past the roadway and go to the nearest intersection to improve that if they're going to cause more concern there, more stress at that intersection, build a turning lane. So when the study comes in, that'll determine what's going to be required to accommodate the safety for that area. But again, like you said here, the constraints are there's no room to do anything, especially to the east of here. You got that drain, the lateral from EBID that has two head walls like 20 feet from each other. So so if that's the case, the developer will be required to expand that crossing with EBID and provide the adequate roadway if some of that stuff is going to extend that far. So it's just going to be dependent on the studies that come up for this design.
Thank you. That's all questions. Okay. I promise you can sit down and say, I won't call you back up. I just want to, most of what's in my mind and heart here, I like the sly getaway of Tony. Most of what's in my mind and heart here have already been addressed by the great comments of my colleagues. I'm kind of happy that P&Z split on this one too. Now I know that went to a denial, but it speaks to, like Mayor Pro Tem said, this is a hard one. Infill development in general is hard because every neighborhood is unique. Every situation is going to be nuanced. It's never going to be easy to have something that's going to address what we need in the present and future and still honor what's there in the past. And that's a really heavy decision to have to make. I went out and looked at this property twice. I rode out once on my bike so I could experience it like that, and I drove out once. I made my husband drive me over because he also drives a fire truck, and I like to get his opinion on stuff like this. And I was like, okay, so how would you feel rolling up here in truck 4? And Chief, you'll be happy to hear that he said, we make it work, and they do. They make it work. Make do, as Councilor Bencomo was saying. And I also, it weighs heavy on me that my decisions make so many other people have to make it work, have to make do. So I'm saying a lot, all just to say that this is hard. Put a lot of thought into it. And I also want to appreciate everyone who turned out today to speak on both sides of the topic. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, so let me just share with you my comments here as to why I will be supporting this. And I'm glad that you have this map here. And I wrote down some comments, and they said, well, why can't you do more single family? All right, so where it says a subject property and you see the boundaries about it, that's the property, correct? So if you go east of that, you're going to see many houses there. The reason why it's really difficult to have a single-family home, many of them, is because they would have to subdivide that big chunk of land here, and they would have to install all types of infrastructure. So the reason why the city developed the infill plan is because if we didn't, the reason why District 5 and District 6 is just continuing to grow is because the developers are out there doing that very thing that was probably done to this area, I don't know, 50, 60 years ago. And that is laying the infrastructure, taking that risk, and putting all these hookups so that people can build single-family homes. I think it was mentioned earlier that there were some houses that have just not been kept up, and for whatever reason, they're abandoned. And think about it. There's going to, especially an investor, they're going to say, well, why would I just build one house here when I can build it in a different place? Now, that's why we did the infill, to help encourage and incentivize those. They waive the building fees, the building permits, they waive certain things, they give variances to the department to encourage this. And this is the big one here, though. I was trying to find a rental house on McClure. So let's just say hypothetically, if there was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath that was going for $800 a month, and if these gentlemen can get $1,200, what that does is it shifts, in my opinion, it'll shift the rent to, say, maybe $1,000. And a home is worth, they look at it 3 ways. They look at it through construction, they look at it through the income that it generates, and they look at it as just the general area, what the houses are going for. So if them building this apartment complex increases, I used to have a house on Palmer, and I had one on Parker. I sold them, during COVID, got a pretty good price. But, but what I'm trying to say is if it moves and increases my property, then I'm kind of like, well, that's good. And plus it builds and it provides housing for the residents. And it's kind of newer, and it helps bring up the area. So I'll be supporting it. So, Councilor Coran, haven't heard from you.
Thanks. Sorry. No, I just wanted to sort of to this bigger question. I think you gave an interesting insight. I come from the land of single-family homes, but I personally live on a street that's all townhomes right next to a large multi-unit complex that includes folks with diverse incomes. And I love my neighborhood, so I should characterize this. But I just want to make a different argument, which is to the same point that you're making, and that is I don't believe that single-family homes are our future. I think that we need to have way fewer single-family homes being built as a proportion of our relative housing inventory. And someone alluded to homeless folks not living in a gated community, but every person of the 5,600 people who need housing might leave a different place to live in this neighborhood. So multifamily units do provide for middle ground housing for people who can't afford necessarily to buy a home, which is basically everyone of regular incomes in Las Cruces right now. No one can afford to buy a home. So I just want to speak to generally my values, which are toward multifamily homes. They're more energy efficient. They provide a much more sort of open place for us to sort of build our future on, and for me, that's very persuasive. And so, as in my backyard, where I have a diversity of homes, even though my district is many single-family homes, I'm just putting it out there that in this case, I think the values that have been articulated by both sides are really important, but I just want to add to that I think multifamily homes really are our future, and I hope that we can consider them very seriously, and I urge folks to see that is a positive impact on the environment. It is a positive impact on our housing inventory, and that's where I'm coming from in this conversation. So,
Thank you. Any other comments from council before I turn it back to public? Closing questions or comments from members of the public? Yes, sir. Yeah, I need you to come forward, please. I need you to come forward, please.
Hi, everybody. Justin Nations. And I understand the reasoning for more public, for multi-housing families. It's just, I'm all for that. It's just in this particular neighborhood would not be a good idea. And also, I wanted to urge the council to look into the matter of a possible conflict of interest in this matter. It has come to my attention that the Housing and Neighborhood Service Manager of Las Cruces, who grants the permits to the development, Natalie Green.
sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you right now.
Yeah.
Incorrect. And you're disparaging city staff, so I'm going to ask you to just stop right there.
Okay.
So.
All right. Thank you.
The permitting actually is that gentleman sitting here with a red tie and throwing his hand up. He's in charge of issuing the permits. That's Larry Nichols, Director of Community Development. Okay. Did you have, ma'am, did you? So on the second round, we just give like a minute.
I
Okay.
got you.
Okay.
Thank you for allowing me. Linda Maddox, Golden Drive. The development across from Benavides that has worked out nicely with our single-family zoning are like townhouses, so they're 2 stories. Why couldn't townhouses be put in the same acreage that they're proposing the other, separated slightly from each other and keep with the character of our neighborhood? And then the other thing is, I know that directly across from the sign that's posted and where they want to build are homes that have the edge of their wall right next to the road. Their property. I don't understand, my question.
Can you get a little bit closer to the mic?
My minute's up?
No, can you get a little bit closer to the mic?
Yes, I'm saying that when I walk down McClure, there is property that's right up to the edge of the road. So those people have purchased their homes, purchased their lot, and grandfathered in, so how are you gonna make a sidewalk? I don't know how that's gonna happen. And so one side of the road has property right up to the street, and the new developed side will have all the accommodations. And all the accommodations may be from the ditch bank to the railroad, but then you've got the other vacant lots on the other part of McClure. There's just a lot to this. Thanks.
Okay, so that will conclude this. You got 1 minute, ma'am? Is that okay?
Leona Sweeler, and I'm sorry to do this, but I'm speaking from my heart. This gentleman and the developer are speaking from their pocketbooks. And I feel so sorry for the people along McClure who have had their houses there for years and everything. And I agree with you that multiple housing is probably necessary. But it doesn't have to be a huge development like this. Maybe a couple of places with 2 to 3 people. But a huge one like this, and I know I'm speaking from my heart, not from my pocketbook, because this really bothers me that this is what seems to be driving some people. And I'm sorry, I just don't agree with what they want to do, and I don't see how that's going to help anything. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so just out of curiosity, Adam, who owns that land east of the subject property? An individual, I guess, not. Who does?
Commissioner, I believe they do, sir.
Oh.
They're pointing to
Yeah,
themselves.
I would think, okay, I was just curious. I was just thinking whoever owned that, if they ever sold it, they'd do the same thing, you know, and who knows, maybe by that time, there might be some requirements for the road. But as of now, it's probably not that much of a, I mean, I've been on McClure, and I know that it's at times, especially during school, but, yeah. I think in the best interest of the area and for the needs of the residents, and like I said, I mean, I believe that it's probably the best way to go is to approve this. I mean, I'll be supporting it. So, all right. So, if there's nothing further.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'm sorry, if I could just clarify, would you all like me to, again, give your options again here? Just for you to know how it is, whatever you're gonna vote, you know, you're voting properly. So you can vote yes, this will approve the resolution and reverse the planning and zoning's decision of denial. Subject property located at 725 McClure will be permitted to develop 20 dwelling units on the property. If you vote no, this will deny the resolution and uphold the denial decision made by the Planning and Zoning Commission. The proposed development will not be allowed. 3, to vote to amend, allow City Council to modify the IDP in any way seemed appropriate by Council. 4, table postpone and direct staff and the applicant accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I ask
Yes,
him a question?
Yes, Councilor.
How, thank you, Adam. Option number 3, yes, quote, yes with conditions. What do we do? Oh, yes, but this is the condition. What, we call that from our vote, or?
No, you would have to get an amendment for whatever condition you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's not really an option to vote on. I mean.
Well, I mean, it's an amendment, and you would.
Yeah, make an amendment, and then we have to vote.
Yeah, that's the
We'll be here till
condition.
midnight. Okay, thank you.
Adam, how many parking spaces are there going to be if there's 20 units? Is it going to be just 30?
Mayor,
1.5?
conceptually, it'd be roughly, to meet minimum standards, I believe it would be 30, sir.
Plus, there's going to be at least one handicap unit, one physically challenged unit. Right?
Mayor, I believe by building code, a minimum of 2 of those would be required, yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Or building code and zoning code, yes, sir.
Along with the handicap parking and van accessible as well.
That is correct, sir, yes.
Okay, good.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a comment. Thank you. This is my comment. My district is District 6, so a lot of the developments there are pretty new. But there is one, and this is something I discussed or talked with Fire Chief, the Fire Chief, about, there's Cantera Arc. This is a discussion I was asking you about, Chief Smith. Cantera Arc is a street that goes like this. You turn left to get onto it. You turn right, you're still on it. You turn right again, you're still on it. It's not, you know, it's called an arc, but then you cross the street and it's also, that's the good part about that street. It's very confusing. That's the good part. The bad part is that it's very narrow. And I asked Chief Smith about that. When you have a narrow street like that, can you fully access an emergency? So if we move forward with going with the street improvements and getting the sidewalks and all that, say it's 50 years from now or 40 years from now, because that's how long it takes to get things done sometimes. But irrespective of when that would happen, what we have in that street, what your response was, Chief, was that it became very difficult to get all the doors, every access to every emergency situation. That's what I understood. And I remember walking those streets. Well, I'm not a street walker, but I was walking those streets at midnight. No, I was doing some work door to door, for lack of a better description, daytime and all that. And there were two cars on the street that I think that they were partially on the sidewalk, and I could barely get through driving. So those are the things that we have to think about, and McClure right now is really encumbered as it is. So thinking in the future, which sometimes we fail to do, I don't think it's very likely or very safe to approve this. I'm torn. I think I'm very torn. I appreciate the efforts of the builder and the owner of the property, but I have the safety concern at heart, and I think that Councilor Graham's husband, as chief, he said that yes, we make do, we do the best we can, but it's not optimal, and it could mean not being able to save someone's life. Oh, that's my piece. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. So with that, we're going to go ahead and go for the vote. And with that, Christine? So again, yes, approves the appeal and reverses the planning and zoning. No, denies the appeal and upholds the planning and zoning. Okay.
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 24-028. Councilor Beta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
No.
Councilor Bencomo?
No.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
No.
Councilor Gondeta?
No.
Mayor?
Yes.
Motion fails.
Okay. All right. Well, so next is item 7.6, Council Bill number 24-005, ordinance number 3047. I've been asked that this be tabled to our October 2nd meeting because staff does not have the information at hand.
Move to table to the date you said.
Second, Gondeta.
A motion made by Councilor Graham to table, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Gondeta. Christine?
This is on the motion to table ordinance 3047 to the October 2nd regular meeting. Councilor Beta is absent. Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Gondeta?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, so next we go to, there's no board appointments. There are no notice of proposed ordinances. So go to City Council board reports and comment. I was able to go to sister cities in Nuremberg, Germany. Had a great time. Ate a lot of food. Gained about 10 pounds, and would like to go back again. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I see Fire Chief Larry Hoban here. Kevin Hoban here, so good to see you. I don't know if you're still retired. Okay, I thought so. Okay, so Mayor Pro Tem.
Thanks, Mayor. Tough vote. It was a tough vote for me because I believe so much in affordable housing, and we're really in desperate need to increase our stock. Anyway, wanted to make the announcement and remind folks that our Suicide Prevention Task Force is putting on a Southwest Summit, September 7, 9 to 4 at the Convention Center. September 8th is a youth summit, and the times have sort of changed given our work with Las Cruces Public Schools and the college. And then Recovery Night Celebration, will be our 7th one. It'll be at the Plaza, and we did it a little differently on the Saturday from 4 to 9. I want to remind folks that Wednesday, we will be having our Health Policy Review Committee, and we will be discussing healthcare in Las Cruces. It'll be from 3 to 5, and it'll be in the second floor conference room. I'm looking at Christine, but I don't remember that conference, the largest one. And I think that's it for me. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Flores?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I, unlike Mayor and the rest of the contingency, was not able to go, unlike Mayor, was not able to go to Germany as one of the delegates with our sister city. I think I said that last time, but I just, yeah, it's really a beautiful experience, and Germany is a beautiful country. Last week was the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington, and there was a lot of coverage on that, and I had some wonderful notes. Oh, here they are. So I just wanted to say that there was a Supreme Court decision that that knocked down affirmative action. I don't know how that's going to, how it's going to affect the EEOC in terms of employment. But at any rate, this Civil Rights Act was passed in 1964. The affirmative action part was passed shortly after that. It's really unfortunate that our Supreme Court justices saw fit to by a majority vote to close down affirmative action. And I want to make clear that when I was in law school, I worked in the admissions office during my second year of law school, and reviewing certain applications, and they had a student contingency. I was one of the students who weighed in on the applications that were submitted, and this is the University of California, San Francisco School of Law. It had a previous name, but they changed it because it's a different name now, but it's the same school. At any rate, the same university. But I will tell you that I looked at many applications, and there were. Let me put it to you this way: there was a goal that you had to have a minimum of 25 blacks, 25 Latinos, 25 Asian, 25 Native Americans, and 25 women. This is a school of 1,500 students. And so when I came, and there weren't that many women in law school back then. This was the dark ages. And when I came across an applicant that hit that mark, someone who had a 3.5 or a 3.8, and back then the scoring system was, I can't even remember what the scoring system was, but if it was above the high percentile, I would take those women out, I would take those blacks out, I would take those Latinos out, I was, take out, quote, all the minorities and just put them aside. And then I would advocate for their being admitted, because they shouldn't be taking up the slots for people who have had a difficult time in their undergraduate, especially the first 2 years, coming from a very deprived area, economically and financially, economically and socially and all that. And I remember the dean at the time, may he rest in peace now, he looked at me and he said, "Why would you want to do that?" And I said, "Because we'd have more minorities in law school, that's why." And he says, "It sounds like you're not for affirmative action." I said, "No, I am for affirmative action, for someone who's had a hard knocks life." And it was a tough decision, but we did get, and it turns out that one of the students I advocated for ended up being dean of that school. He had a 3.95 or something average, and his score was almost perfect on the LSAT. At the time it was called LSAT, I don't know what it's called today. But anyway, I was heartbroken because it also encouraged a lot of people who wouldn't have dared to apply to law school. And there was nothing in the application that said, are you seeking admission under the affirmative action program? But there were people, when I interviewed them, I would always ask, did it help to know that you would be considered under the affirmative action program? And they would say yes. And these were people that really didn't have to be looked at in a special manner or in that, through that prism. So it's really heartbreaking, and the thing that's so heartbreaking is, as you all know, or should know, I think we all know, how horrible everything has been with our presidential elections and all the stuff that's coming out about Clarence Thomas. And I'm not politicizing this, I'm just saying that it's really heartbreaking that he was in fact a beneficiary of affirmative action. So anyway, so that's very sad. But anyway, I had this long thing about it. But anyway, I just want to say also, for those of you who watch PBS, and Henry Louis Gates Jr., he has that show on finding your roots, and he has made it very clear when people find out that they have Black, Negro, African ancestry, they're surprised. One of them is Carly Simon, the daughter of Simon & Schuster, the big publisher, and who was on her own a very successful singer. She's 5% Black, but she's larger than that. But he made it very clear that all of us come from Africa at one point. So I just wanted to, I don't know, I came across that and, the Supreme Court decision, and okay, enough. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Coran?
Thank you. I just wanted to point out a couple of things coming up. For the many of you who have stuck it out, sorry in advance. One thing that's coming up that is sort of related to what we do often is next Monday at 1 p.m. There will be NMDOT is having a vulnerable road user survey assessment Zoom. And some of this is on social media, so I hope that community members will participate, because we do have, as was alluded to today, many issues related to the safety of people other than cars on roads, and that's what vulnerable road users are. And just for the record, you're vulnerable to being run over, because we have a car-centered culture that runs people over on bikes and pedestrians higher than any other state in the country. So next Monday at 1 p.m. it will be on Zoom, and that's from the Department of Transportation. I did have a couple of other small notes related to upcoming things. Next month, we didn't have a TSI meeting this morning, but next month our TSI meeting will involve equity in pedestrian and cycling access, and what that looks like in our communities. We'll have a special guest, Representative Rubio, who worked on the state legislature to improve outdoor equity and is thinking about these things really proactively. So that will be 1 month from today, 4 weeks from today. So just to give you an update on what's happening related to vulnerable road users. I had two other things I just wanted to follow up. Thank you for holding it down last week. I watched the work session, and I really appreciate Chief Story's presentations and ongoing pursuit of things like the conversation around accreditation from CALIA. I do think that Jennifer Cry, who was here earlier, who represents and comes and speaks to community inputs on policing, I think that we do have room to improve our relations and our transparency when it comes to that, and I really appreciate the efforts that you, Chief Story, have already participated in. I'm curious what the conversation is related to the Civilian Police Oversight Board, if that is still happening in public safety or what those conversations are. So I look forward to hearing any updates on that. And then the last thing that I just wanted to talk about really quickly was related to the letter that was alluded to in the public comments and a range of, sorry. Just to allude to the conversation about Matt Walsh and folks suggesting that some of us who signed on to this letter are taking an anti-free speech position, and I think that we're taking a proactive position and looking to NMSU and all of us to think about how in an environment where trans folks in particular are victimized disproportionately all the time and increasingly, how are we contributing to that, and how is NMSU specifically contributing to addressing that, supporting the safety of LGBTQ trans, in particular students on campus, as well as faculty and staff. And so just to put it in another context, while it might sound like that event happened months ago, that's not what our conversation will be like. We'll hopefully have a great conversation about what NMSU is doing to proactively support those students, faculty and staff who are in those positions, and frankly being victimized by a rhetoric that calls for harm to them. So just to go back and mention that it's not that we're against free speech, we're just mitigating the consequences of the free speech, and I hope that folks realize that your free speech does have consequences in a range of ways. So that's it.
Thank you. Councilor
Thank
Bincombe?
you, Councilor Corrin, for those powerful comments. Sort of going off on that a little bit, on this, having consequences of what you say. I think it's really easy to come here every other Monday with your 2 to 3 minute speech written out that, is filled with falsehoods. And that's easy to do that. It's a lot harder to come here and want to engage in conversations around solutions and, centering the dignity of people and all of those things. It's a lot harder to do that. And so I just want to encourage people when they're writing, you can say what you like, you do, but that some of us sometimes will, counter those things, because coming here and saying that in the last 4 years we've defunded the police is just a huge, bold-faced lie that has not happened. And so I just want to push back around some of those things, because again, those things have consequences, and I would just so much rather folks came here in good faith to work on solutions, but that is not the case. In the meantime, all of us up here are trying to work on solutions that, have an impact on our community. A couple of those I would like to talk about. One, I really want to thank Chief Story and Sergeant Lazarin for inviting us to a fair and impartial policing training a couple of weeks ago. I was really just impressed with Sergeant Lazarin and her facilitation skills. Like, she's an excellent facilitator, and she provided a really great space for Councilor Beta, Graham, and I to go through that training and really and Defo as well came to that. Sorry, Defo. And we really got to experience how she trains her colleagues in the department, and she said, I'm going to do it exactly how I do with them, and it just was really wonderful to see the kind of vulnerable environment that she creates to talk about really hard things, which is implicit bias and racism and how those things show up in our work. And so I really just want to appreciate Chief Story for opening that space up for us, and if there's another opportunity, I'm hoping the rest of my colleagues are able to do that as well. Mayor Pro Tem and I got invited to a restaurant association meeting last week that was really interesting. We had conversations with some local restaurant owners around some of the things they're experiencing. One of the biggest things is workforce shortage. And so, I wanted to bring that up. Hopefully Elizabeth and Chris are listening, but I think given that there was $1 million of ARPA funding that came back to us because of a very unfortunate bankruptcy, unrelated to the city, of course. I think we have a good opportunity to work with the folks who are, the business community who's experiencing workforce issues and provide apprenticeship programs. Actually, one of them suggested really, looking into programs that are helping people
re-enter society after being incarcerated. And this restaurant owner talked about how they hire often for their kitchen staff of folks who are returning, and so I think there's a lot of innovative ideas out there that we can be researching and thinking about how to work with to improve workforce development in our community. And then the last thing I want to say is that last week I was invited by the governor's staff to attend a housing summit that was held in Santa Fe with mostly housing providers, folks who run shelters, folks who do housing work every single day. And there was several folks from Las Cruces, like FYI was there, CAA. Unfortunately, Community of Hope couldn't be there, but they were invited, and thankfully I met with Natalie Green and Nicole, and they helped me prep for it because I was invited to speak. And I spoke alongside the city manager, county manager from Bernalillo, and Mayor Weber from Santa Fe around the issues we're experiencing in Las Cruces, and I just really centered on the context here. And I really hope I can work with Natalie Green and my colleagues on the housing PRC to do some strategy thinking with the providers locally. The governor has a big plan. I have lots of thoughts about it, but I know that she'll be going to the legislature to ask for a significant amount of money to really invest in housing programming that is really rooted in getting people out of homelessness. I really, I have some criticisms around not focusing on preventative measures as well, but I really want us to hold some sort of city or community-sponsored strategic session that for folks specifically who do housing, so that we can be prepared for the legislative session and really ask for what Las Cruces needs and deserves, which is ensuring we're people who are experiencing housing instability are able to remain in their house or rapidly move into new housing, so rapid rehousing funding, and then permanent supportive funding and housing that includes behavioral health and substance use treatment centers. So I just wanted to note that. I was proud to go represent Las Cruces, but to note that I think we have a significant opportunity right now with the historic revenues at the state to really go up there and say, this is what Las Cruces needs and this is what will improve. And I lied one more thing that I'll be talking to IFO about this, but there is a big conversation at that summit with the intersection of criminal justice and homelessness and folks who are experiencing homelessness. And both Albuquerque and Santa Fe, Albuquerque much longer, Santa Fe recently, have now what are called outreach courts or homelessness courts, really allowing for alternative resolutions in lieu of custody, fines, and fees for most misdemeanor charges, and instead encourage and have mandate participants may engage in life skills activities, substance abuse group meetings, literacy classes, training on counseling, these kinds of things. And I really feel like I would love to have a conversation. I hate to do we should do a feasibility study, but I really do actually think that we're in a place, IFO, to build something like this with MuniCorp that really specifically hones in on the folks that are stuck in this violent or in this pathway, and try to interrupt it as best we can. I will share this with all of you. Actually, I'll do that. Just ignore my notes on it. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Graham.
Thank you, Mayor. I unfortunately showed up for TSI PRC this morning. So I would have reported out on that, but I was the only one who transported over, and yeah. Upcoming events, George, you're going to shake your head if I get anything wrong here. The formerly mayor's bike ride, now city councilor's bike ride, is happening on Saturday, September 16th. It starts at 10 a.m. and we're leaving from here at City Hall. Yes? Parking lot outside. Yeah, not here in the chambers, although I could be tempted into doing some sweet tricks up here on the dais if you wanted. So really looking forward to that. have a bike, have a helmet, come join us. If you need a bike or a helmet, please reach out to me directly because I have extras and I have friends who have even more extras. So if you're interested in riding and don't have the equipment you need, reach out and I will hook you up. I wanted to just say thank you to the people from City Manager's Office, from Las Cruces Fire, and from Las Cruces Police who have stopped by to check out the improvements to the boxing gym. You know, these are these little items that I see on a slide for the budget adjustment today for PAL, that's Police Athletic League, that's our boxing gym. And it sounds so simple, it's a budget adjustment for flooring and equipment, but it's a very different thing to come and see what that means for the participants who are there, to see our now tricked out weight room and cardio room, our new rings, and several of you have stopped by and I really appreciate that. Come out any evening, Monday through Friday. We're there from 5:30 to 7. You can see me do my coaching thing occasionally. So yeah, it's just amazing to see, you know, it's on the PowerPoint, it's on the dais, and then it's out in real life. And I just really appreciate everyone who has helped me out with this. And then finally, this is a super personal request, Mayor. Okay, if we don't get the bell fixed on the timer soon and you're timing, can you switch the alarm sound? Because that's the alarm I have to wake up to. Every day that and it seriously makes me tachycardic. Like my heart rate rises. Can you change to like the harp sound? Thank you. That's all I got. Thank you so much.
I'm going to switch it to Ozzy Osbourne, all aboard. Okay.
Anything besides my wake-up alarm.
Okay.
But seriously, that's like the iPhone default wake-up alarm, and every time I hear it, ooh,
Okay.
thanks.
Well, Ifo, can you get that thing fixed? Okay. Yeah. Okay, Councilor Beta.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to make a note of a few items. This next week, I will also be gone for council, as I will be in DC with our local Chamber of Commerce. We'll be advocating on behalf of military affairs, and then I will be layering that on with items for the city, on behalf of the city, so thank you, Mr. Peely, for working that in. And then as at our last day, we'll be going over to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and looking at some, workshops on international trade, workforce training, and international policy, which I think will be really relative to items that we can look down here for economic development. I also want to thank Sergeant Lasserine, and thank you, Chief Story, for allowing me to go to the fair and impartial training. I also found it really powerful and informative, and it was a good perspective to have. And then the last is my comments, and it's very timely, I think, for what we have going on. I participated in the Municipal League Annual Conference this last week, and our theme this year was civility. And what does it mean to be civil in an increasingly hostile world? Across the nation and in our state, we are seeing a larger number of individuals who come with really raised and charged emotions. And we're seeing that from whether it's between counselors in some cities, whether it's members of the public, how public engages with staff, or how the counselors are engaging with public. All these different types of things come together, and we're seeing that increased incivility. And really, it's unfortunate, because a lot of times, everybody wants what's best for their community. And how we get there is sometimes the big question. But when people come to the table with honesty and with integrity, then I think that's where we can really work together. Councilor Bencoma, you said it, when you hear about individuals that come up with blatant mistruths, and whether they've been educated again or things like that, it's very hard to make change and progress. And that's where I think that if individuals who really do want to see change, whether for whatever spectrum it's coming from, if they're really coming to the table with that honesty, integrity, I think we have a place to land. And so that was a message and theme that we had. We had Speaker of the House, Javier Martinez, and Minority Leader Ryan Lane come together for a panel to talk about their workmanship and how they've actually developed a friendship. And it's good to see that different parties can come together, different individuals and ideals can come together. So I think it's something to note and something that I definitely want to carry moving forward. Thank you to all the city staff who attended. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Chief. I think Chris Favor as well. So I appreciate your attendance, and Las Cruces made a good, oh, and Barbara as well for coming. So thank you all.
Okay, before I get to EFO, I'm going to just give some accolades or kudos to Chief Smith. So this Sunday, I don't know, about 10 minutes till 7, I get a call from El Paso Judge Samaniego that an acquaintance with her 2 young children are stuck somewhere in the Gila. And so apparently she had tried calling, and an hour had passed, and no response. So, you know, it's going to get dark here soon. So I was able to call her, ask her to send me a picture of where she's at, and yeah, she's stuck. I mean, I don't know where she was at. So I gave it to, asked Chief Smith if he could help out, and he took it from there. And he contacted, I don't know how you got a hold of them. Well, I'm sure you have your connections, but thank you for doing that. Long story short, they got them later that evening, and they were rescued. So thank you. I know that's just for you. It's just another day at the office, but it was a Sunday at 7 o'clock and a holiday at that. And thank you very much for taking the time to do that, Chief. Yeah. So John, you want to interview him and KRWG? So. Okay. So with that, City Manager's report. Ifo?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. I just wanted to give a little bit of background about the group that came responding to a letter that was sent out. Just want to let you know I appreciate Connie and CD giving me some more background on that. That's a proposed project. According to our municipal code, a project of this size requires early notice when there's an inquiry for a zone change. It's a potential 96-unit apartment complex. No formal applications have been submitted, but as a part of our code, we send out this early notice. That's what triggered this group. And then the developer apparently sent a letter just letting them know and giving his contact information. But there's nothing that's been done. Again, this is just an early notice as required by our code to send out. Just wanted to give you that additional background. And then the only other thing is Public Works has submitted just this project just to notify you of our reconstruction, midway reconstruction. It's in the, next to Mesa Road. Just want to let you know that reconstruction is a little bit more intrusive than all the other maintenance that goes on throughout the city. But just to let you know, that's a full reconstruction, and that's going to last until February of next year. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. With that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved by Flores.
Second, Abeta.
Motion made by Councilor Flores, second by Councilor Abeta. Christine?
This is on the motion to adjourn the meeting. Councilor Beta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Gondeta? Yes. Mayor?
Yes. Okay, it's 4:52 p.m. We are adjourned. Thank you.